stood last night for the Medal of Honors either. I have chosen to show up today and be offended.
Mic check. Bunch of baby back bitches.
I'm very upset today. I put on my red hat and everything. It makes me mad when people don't openly worship Donald Trump. Oh, boy, am I mad
today. And he talks a lot of shit. Hey, guys. Welcome back on YouTube. For those of you who missed us on YouTube, we're back. Take that. I had a nice dispute with YouTube for a couple of days. I think I lost. I still think I lost. We got the account back, but it was a nightmare. So thank you for watching the shit show with me last night. I wasn't ready. How am I not ready for Donald Trump? How's it work? I realized last night I just should have started drinking halfway through because the buzz wore off, and then I was like, you come down off of it, and it was like, oh. And I knew if I drank more that my words would start mixing together, which might have worked. It would have just matched Trump's energy. And yeah, that sucked. That sucked so bad. Imagine being happy about that. Imagine being like, Donald Trump killed it last night. Let me adjust this mic. Get out of there. There we go. I feel like it's coming after me. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
What did I do?
Saw you didn't do anything yet.
Hell yeah.
I mean, the day is young, I guess. I'm sure you'll figure out something. Just no clicking on any links that you're not supposed to, or
no promises on that. I did freak out today when I was verifying my account because I'm also dumb that I kept making mistakes. But last time I made mistakes, I was being hacked. So I'm like, oh no, am I being hacked again? But it was 5 a.m. so I knew I couldn't call you. So I just went with it.
I mean, you could. I may have not answered, but you could have tried.
Yeah. Would you have been awake? It's 4 your time.
I probably wouldn't have answered, to be honest.
All right.
Because my phone is I keep my phone face down
Ass
on
up.
silent.
That's the way we liked it. So what's that?
Right.
Jen's phone is very kinky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry.
And Kanye, don't take home to mother.
I don't think any mother would appreciate what's on your phone and your search history.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, I would
hide a body.
Right. Specifically, Jay's body after he's clicked on links again. So Johnny Long Trail sent a Venmo saying double dollar chain.
Thanks, Johnny.
Off to treatment. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're out. Yeah, good for you, Johnny. I hope you're feeling all right.
So, yeah, no. I mean, I don't listen my phone. I mean, if you would have woke me up, I wouldn't have been super thrilled. But
okay.
But I likely wouldn't have heard it.
All right.
So yeah. So.
Did you watch any of it last night, or were you doing that thing you do where you just kind of are off in the distance in case there's a problem?
I was listening. Ironically, I was just kind of hanging out, and for whatever reason in my head, I was thinking I know it was East Coast time, 9 Eastern, but for whatever reason, I didn't realize that it was 9
Eastern.
Eastern.
You were late. I forgot about it. We didn't talk about that. Yeah.
I spaced it for a second. Spawn was being spawning. So there's that. Oh, fun fact. She's asked me if she could have TikTok. And then yesterday she asked me if she can have Snapchat.
Oh no. Oh,
yeah.
No. I'm going to cry. My daughter asked me actually if she could make a YouTube channel. I was like, absolutely not. You absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I've let her have certain things. I mean, my mom was super strict on all kinds of stuff. So I'm not trying to, but I'm not.
Yeah, but you didn't even have internet when you were. That came around after you graduated high school, right?
I mean, it was when I graduated high school. They were charging.
It was 89.
No, there was.
That's Jen's actual laugh. I know nobody's heard Jen laugh before. That's her actual laugh.
No. Anyways, but no, I mean that was when I graduated high school. It was charging like what 10 or 20 cents a text message, and the cost if you turn your internet on by accident, you get a bunch of money.
I remember I took my dad's cell phone one time and I was sending a bunch of text messages, and then I found I don't remember what had happened. Like my dad worked for himself, but for some reason somebody else was like paying for his cell phone. It was like somebody he was building a cabin for, and then he's like, I kept taking it and I would delete the text messages, and then he found out like I had it at one point, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened. They said there's this big bill. And I've never told anybody this, actually. I just stole the cell phone and I threw it away. I didn't want anybody to catch it. So I just wound up like, we had an orchard next to our house and I threw it in this ditch and buried it. Yeah, I don't feel good about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, no, I'm not necessarily, Snapchat's going to be a no.
That's
going to be a no.
I have Snapchat. I don't know how to log in. I don't even think it's on my phone. Let me look. I just feel like if somebody says like, do you have Snapchat? It's because they want to send me something that like I'm not supposed to have on my phone. Do people use Snapchat for other reasons?
I don't know. I mean, yes and no, I guess. But yeah, so there's certain things like, I mean, she just turned 12. I'm not ready for.
That's a no for me. Yeah. Tell Spawn I said no too.
Okay. Yeah. She can be mad at you, I guess. That's fine.
She would never be mad at me. She'll blame you.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
No, you cannot send me nudes on Snapchat. I will not give out my Snapchat. Don't do that.
Maybe I'll keep that as in my back pocket.
You don't know my Snapchat either.
I do have your Snapchat.
What? How do you have my Snapchat?
I just do. It pulls up like your contacts.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. I forgot about that. You probably do. Wait, but that's my old phone number. Well, it's probably still the same Snapchat.
We're friends. So.
God damn it. All right.
So I'll just keep that in my back pocket, just in case. I'll use that as a threat, I guess. So,
Kayla, you guys don't have Snapchat in the Midwest. You guys still have 3G. Don't pretend that you guys have Snapchat out there. You have to connect to Wi-Fi.
So, not Johnny, but another John said, aced his colonoscopy. Only pain in my ass is MAGA Dollar Train.
Oh, that does hurt. Asta Sophia said, starting an early Dollar Train, show my appreciation for you, Jay, and the crew. Thank you, Asta Sophia. Loyal. She doesn't even go here, and she still shows up. She cares more about our country than most Americans. Thank you, Asta Sophia.
She probably understands our government better than a lot of Americans.
That's true. That's accurate.
But yeah, so we're getting going. We're back on YouTube. So
we're on Kick today too.
We haven't really been on.
I don't think we've ever been on Kick before, but I don't remember who it was. Somebody in the chat the other day was like, Kick pays better. And I always thought Kick was just for like right wingers. So we're streaming on Kick. I'll look at the numbers after and see if there's people there, but we're also there.
Oh yeah. And you still haven't done that thing with Spotify that I've asked you to do.
I got to get started, Jen. We don't have time to talk about this.
I don't
know what you're talking about.
I got to put that out there. That you haven't done that yet also. So. But anyways, yeah, we're going to get going. So we got the gift goal with the links above, depending on where you're watching. So the pay links always help us out. If we can knock that gift out sooner rather than later, that'd be fantastic. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do so wherever you're watching. So you can join us for members only events. We'll probably have one not this Monday, but probably the Monday after. After that, if you guys disagree with RTP, you can come up and talk to them. How you do that is you look at the Venmo username. That's my Discord. Send me a message on Discord. Jen with 2 N's, Dub with 2 B's, the number 1. And I can bring you up and have a conversation. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. So we've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify, even though Jay hasn't done that thing I asked him to. Did you hear that the Oxford University invented a new tech to find dolphins again from previous studies?
I was unaware of that. No.
It's for research purposes.
Stupid. Jen, I realized that we're logged in to Streamlabs through Twitch, so I'm not going to see super chats. So, guys, I'll try really hard today to stay on top of the messages. But they're not gonna pop up on my screen here. So if you don't want to do super chats, there's other ways to do it that will probably get there quicker, and YouTube takes less money. But it's up to you.
I'll send them to you like I always do.
All right. Let's get going. Not that Kick Raider Mojo KICK, not KIK. Is Kick that chat is that still in existence? I didn't even know that still existed. All right, let's get things started with this. I wanted a funny video. I didn't ever find one this morning, but after funny, the next best thing is ACAB. So we're gonna kick things off with some ACAB today in the great state of Florida, in Tallahassee. A corrupt police officer here.
Meet Calvin Riley. He's being stopped by the Tallahassee Police Department on Southland Road.
Hello, sir. I'm Officer Oliver with Tallahassee Police Department.
She'll plant evidence of an empty liquor bottle in Riley's car before arresting him for an alleged DUI. Riley's license is
Son of a
suspended,
bitch.
and officers decide to arrest Riley on a first offense for his suspended license.
Would you be willing to do some voluntary field sobriety exercises?
What is this thing?
Okay. Here, go ahead and step out of the vehicle for us.
They didn't tell him the consequences of refusing that voluntary test.
Just go ahead and face the corner of the car for us. Your license is
After
suspended.
detaining Riley,
Guys, it was just an internet delay. It for sure wasn't me that screwed that up. It's just an internet delay.
they asked him if he smoked any marijuana.
Mr. Riley, I got a quick question for you. No problem. So I smelled marijuana in your vehicle. Did you recently smell?
No.
Once he's arrested for driving with a suspended license, they can search his car. Officer Oliver leaves the car, does a 360, and then goes back in the car, retrieving a sealed liquor bottle and pours it out.
You hear
That
that?
was the sound of the seal on the liquor bottle breaking. Here's another angle. While Officer Muth questions Riley about marijuana
Did
again,
somebody else smoke in your car?
Welcome
earlier?
from the Facts Raid.
Oliver tosses the empty bottle into the passenger seat. They don't find any marijuana in the car. Here's Officer Oliver implying to Officer Muth that the empty bottle was likely what was in a cup in Riley's center console.
Cover where like the knee would sit, there's an opening, and he had it like tucked. Okay. And then the whatever he had in his cup also smelled.
Then Officer Muth tells a senior officer that they found open alcohol in the car, in both a bottle and a cup.
Did y'all search the car?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing in there?
No. Well, okay, so he had a bunch of alcohol stashed in there, but
A bunch.
Nothing open or anything?
yeah, open.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in his like Tervis in the center console, he had a mixed drink, and then under his knee, he had a like little bottle of vodka tucked away.
When officers group to discuss the case, they all ask each other if their body cameras are off.
Still alive. Any evidence of that?
Marijuana.
Our cops fucking suck. They suck so bad. I don't know how people put up like the back the blue shit. This is so gross. And what I was thinking about while this was happening is like, why? Why did she do that? I don't know if they have a quota. Like, why would you even plant that evidence? What's the point there? Besides the obvious, right? We all know what the obvious is. We don't want to assume that all cops are racist, but
Are you still on?
The video ends at this point. Riley's arrest report states, quote, "A search of Riley's vehicle yielded a small bottle of vodka that was
also that wasn't vodka. Wasn't that a Crown bottle?
opened in a pocket in the driver's seat cover." Riley's case begins on Friday,
Do they get
April
bonuses?
5th in
Gross.
Leon County Courthouse in Tallahassee.
Anyways, just wanted to start off with some ACAB today, just to remind you, because we're going to watch a bunch of Republicans talk about how much they love our country, and what they really love is a police state, and it's going to be an annoying day today. Great. All right, well, don't get my Snapchat banned. Apparently, it's not hard to find. That's about my 5th message now that a bunch of people without my phone number found my Snapchat. So just do your best not to get it banned. I love you. We'll just say that. All right. I want to show you this. This is the Anthropic CEO. His name is Dario Amodei. And all these guys suck. But Dario Amodei seems to be the only person in the AI space willing to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't put this in the government. Maybe the government shouldn't have access to this technology.
That's one reason why I'm worried about the autonomous drone swarm, right? So,
No, they're all bad guys. I've already decided LLM. I don't know that much about them. I don't trust any of these people.
the constitutional protections in our military structures depend on the idea that there are humans who would, we hope,
The only group working to fix problems is the right. What problem are you guys trying to fix?
We're fixing voter fraud. That doesn't exist.
What problem? Before we get going here, JC, I appreciate you being here, but what problem? What problem is the right trying to fix right now? Be happy to listen to this. Bezos wants drones to start delivering. I know. Yeah. Please don't be one of those people who I stop the show for and then doesn't respond. Fixing poor people from having any money. Thank you, Will. That's a good point. Too much diversity. That's right. The great replacement, John. We're getting more good watts. Yeah, YouTube is working. If by fixing problems means sweeping them under the rug like they don't exist, yeah. Did you just leave? We stopped it for you and you left? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we'll go back to this.
disobey illegal orders with fully autonomous weapons.
Let me go back a little bit because that's
Constitutional
important.
protections in our military structures depend on the idea that there are humans who would, we hope, disobey illegal orders. With fully autonomous weapons, we don't necessarily have those protections. But I actually think this whole idea of constitutional rights and liberty along many different dimensions, can be undermined by AI if we don't update these protections.
And we know we don't have transparency from the government. So we're just going to trust that they're going to upload the Constitution and then all the Supreme Court. This administration already just pretends that the Constitution is optional. We do not want the government having access to tools like this, especially when we're talking about drones, where they can just override the Constitution. Jen says, my son listens to a podcast at bedtime, and sometimes I'll go into his room late at night, and you're playing, so you're welcome for the listens. Axe says, moral of the story, don't click on unverified links. Yeah, well, it was fun.
Appropriately. So, think about the Fourth Amendment. It is not illegal to, put cameras around everywhere in public space and, record every conversation. It's a public space. You don't have a right to privacy in a public space. But today, the government couldn't record that all and make sense of it. Right. With AI, the ability to transcribe speech, to look through it, correlate it all, you could say, oh, there's this, this person is a member of the opposition. This person is expressing this view, and make a map of all 100 million. And so, are you going to make a mockery of the Fourth Amendment by the technology finding kind of technical ways around it? And so, again,
they wouldn't do that. The government wouldn't go after political opposition and target them. They wouldn't do that. Yeah, I saw SCOTUS's ruling yesterday. I don't know if we'll get to it today or not, but I saw it.
If we had the time, and we should do this, we should try to do this even if we don't have the time, is there some way of reconceptualizing constitutional rights and liberties in the age of AI? We don't need to write a new constitutional, but
but you have to do this very fast.
JC's here. Here's what the right is fixing: the indoctrination of our youth. They're doing that by indoctrinating them into Christianity. The large group of growing communists within our country, they're not doing anything about that, and you're allowed to be a communist in this country. The waste and abuse of the system, we are drowning in debt. Donald Trump is stealing from our system. Yeah, JC, I don't know what to tell you. You've got to substantiate some stuff. I'd just work through that a little bit if I were you and decide if that's real. I mean, all of those are just silly little talking points. Go back and read the rest. The waste and abuse of the system. What was the rest? That was the whole thing, JC. That's the whole comment. There's nothing more to read there. Maybe it cut off. The list is massive. It wasn't. It was not. I have given over 20. Okay, well, those are the only ones I saw. But the ones that I just saw there, and I can't go that much further up the chat, those are all silly. And they're not fixing any of that. What are they fixing? Those are just things that bother you. You're just naming things that bother you. How about this? How about the government giving access? Like, you want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. Let's talk about the access the government has given these private companies. Let's talk about all of your Social Security Administration information being leaked. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about them signing a contract with Grok now. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? This is the most wasteful, fraudulent administration in the history of this country. Well, I'm sorry. I wasn't watching the chat the whole time. I got a show to run, so I'm sorry if I missed some of yours. Maybe. But just so you know, and any Republican that's here, we do allow you to call in and talk. If you want to do that, if you look at the Venmo username, that is the same name as Jen's Discord username, JenDub1, and you can message her, and she can bring you up. You can talk to me. So if you want to go over these in person, happy to do that. Double dog dare you to go look into the communist goals from the 1963 congressional record. Double dare you to find me a place in the Constitution where it says you can't be a communist. Why are we going back to 1963, by the way?
I don't like communism.
Jen, will you pull that up? We'll read it. Find me the communist goals from the 1963 congressional record. After this video, I'll read it.
Expand the meaning of the Fourth Amendment. Do we expand the meaning of the First Amendment?
All right. I guess after the next one, it'll take a minute. Not a good idea to give all these private entities control over our government. Oh, there we go. Jen, well, I don't know if those are the only ones, Jen, that you got. Those are the ones that you found. All right. Here's former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe of the FBI talking about Kash Patel. After Kash Patel, I wouldn't say got busted because he live streamed himself with the U.S. hockey team. There were a lot of questions like, what the fuck are you doing there? Why are you there? What are you doing there? Why did you take the FBI plane? Aren't there other things we should do? Shouldn't you be at home pretending to look into the Epstein files? Why is the FBI director there? Why did it cost so much money? Why are you the guy who said that Chris Wray shouldn't be flying on a private jet to go do fun things? And then the FBI came out and they're like, actually, he was there already because he was doing last-minute security detail for the FBI. No, you wouldn't do that the day before. The Olympics have already been going on. The hockey team has been there. You think the FBI was called in a day before the gold medal game? Cool. Here's Andrew McCabe.
Do you think Director Patel...
Why is it bad he's with the hockey team? He's a huge fan. Because he's the FBI director and he has a fucking job to do, and it cost millions of dollars for him to go over there and watch the hockey team. That's why. And then he lied and said he just happened to be there. The better question is, why the fuck don't you guys care about any goddamn thing? Like, Trump just makes billions of dollars. What's wrong with making money? What's wrong with covering up Epstein files if you're in them? You don't have any morals or like principles at all. I don't know what to tell you. What's wrong with that? How about no FBI director ever has done that? How about we don't spend millions of dollars to send the FBI director to go watch a hockey game? How about that?
Partying.
Where's JC? JC, talk to your friend here about that. You were worried about waste, fraud, and abuse. Can you talk to your friend about the waste, fraud, and abuse of Kash Patel flying to the Olympics and spending millions of dollars to go watch a hockey game? You guys can talk amongst yourselves.
With Team USA in Italy was appropriate. And what do you make of the FBI's explanation for why he was in Italy? You've certainly taken meetings around the world.
Yeah, I mean, the video is ridiculous and it was completely inappropriate for him to be engaging, to go at all let's be honest. The excuse that he had to go for security meetings the day before the games are over is patently ridiculous. Director Mueller once traveled to Greece to consult with partners on the security arrangements for the Greek Olympics 8 months before the games began. That's when the sort of details and arrangements are made that an FBI director needs to weigh in on to make sure that others understand the role of the Bureau and those sorts of things. It's not the day of the final hockey game. And of course, now we know exactly what he was doing there. Horrible mess.
Getting blasted. You know what I hate about Kash Patel more than anything? That his eyes are so fucked up that we can't tell if he's coked up or if he just looks like that. It's very difficult to tell.
Message to the FBI rank and file. It's absolutely, I'm sure that this video is coursing through that population today. And a horrible message to the country when the FBI is in the middle of such incredibly important investigations, everything from the notorious kidnapping, now on its 4th week, of Nancy Guthrie, all the way to we may be on the brink of war with Iran. Now, I can tell you from having been in that position before, when you are on the brink of hostilities with a country that is a sponsor of
That's what we're going with. It's worse to waste millions of dollars on junkies and felons than giving it to leaders. Are you saying it's worse to waste money on Trump? Think Trump's a leader. Don't do that. Don't you, Mr. Miller, don't you besmirch Donald Trump like that. He's about to get $10 billion of our taxpayer money because his feelings were hurt. And just because he's a junkie and a felon doesn't mean that he's any less deserving. How dare you besmirch dear leader like that?
Terrorism. The FBI is right now using a microscope, or they should be, to go through all of their records to find Iranian sleeper agents in the United States.
Virtually everybody who's ever led the FBI is like, "What? This is pathetic. This is silly." Welcome, everybody. I don't know how many are here on Kick, but this is our first Kick stream. I see you in the chat. Welcome. Oh, it's you. Who gives a fuck? You went there to show support from the government. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys don't give a fuck. There's nothing that this administration could do that you would ever give a fuck about. You'll just justify everything. Wasted millions of dollars. We don't care about that. He's showing support. Good. He could show support from here. He could just stay home and do his job. FBI directors aren't supposed to go out and be cheerleaders, from what I understand. Well, I don't know if you're MAGA or not. Welcome. It's good to have you. But that's silly that you wouldn't care about that. You wouldn't care about wasting money on sending the FBI director over there, but that's fine. All right, what did Jen send me? This was for the communist congressional goals. All right, here's some of the key goals from the 1963 congressional record. A.S. Herlong read a list of 45 alleged communist goals into the record. He took this from Cleon Skousen's. Oh my God, Cleon Skousen. We're citing Cleon Skousen. Okay. All right, so Cleon Skousen wrote this into, and these were some of the goals in education. And you just tell me, is the problem here that they want to do this, or is the problem here that they're communists? Because I think it's they just represent views that you don't. So first, gain control of schools, teachers' associations, and use them to promote socialism and communist propaganda. That's exactly what MAGA does. That's what Moms for Liberty have done. They've gained control of schools, teachers, associations, and they use them to promote Christian nationalism. For the record, I'm far more afraid of Christian nationalism than communism. Infiltrate the press, radio, television, and motion pictures to influence public opinion. That's exactly what MAGA does. Politics and government capture one or both U.S. political parties and outlaw the and then outlaw the Communist Party to prevent scrutiny, eliminate loyalties. That's a little shady. But that's kind of what Hitler did, right? He pretended to be a nationalist socialist and then took over the party and then was like, we are not that. Use technical court decisions to weaken basic American institutions under the guise of civil rights. Yeah, that's what MAGA's, that's Project 2025. Promote free trade with communist countries regardless of war capability, extend loans to Soviet satellites, and provide American aid to all nations regardless of communist domination. I mean, is that not what Trump does? He just only helps people that align with him politically. Again, like if that's alarming only because it's communism, I guess fine. But whether those are true or not, I don't see that any different than what MAGA's doing. I don't like. I grew up in a cult. I don't like indoctrination. I don't like any party trying to like slip this stuff in. But the stuff that the communists would be slipping in there, what would be so problematic about what the communists would slip in there? Keep going. Well, that was an overview. I can read the whole. I don't know if I really want to stop the whole thing, but there's 45 goals. Coexistence is the only alternative to atomic war. Oh, I like that. I actually like that idea. That's a good goal. That we all get along peacefully rather than have an atomic war. I wonder who was opposed to that. I wonder if it was the right wing. I wonder if that was the conservatives. Willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war. Okay, so give and take. I like that. Develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. I think they're adding the illusion, but total disarmament by the United States could have been a demonstration of moral strength. Absolutely. Permit free trade between all nations. Oh no, I love that. I love free trade. Extension of long-term loans to Russia and Soviet satellites. Probably wouldn't have been on board with that. Provide American aid to all nations, regardless of communist domination. We got that. I don't really have a problem with that. I like USAID. Grant recognition of Red China. Admit Red China to the UN. Yeah, why not work with them? Set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's promise in 1955 to settle Germany. I don't have an opinion on that. Probably don't know enough about that to really have a good opinion. Prolong the conferences to ban atomic tests. I like that. Allow all Soviet satellites individual representation in the UN. Probably wouldn't have had a problem with that. Promote the UN as the only hope for mankind. I like that. If its charter is rewritten, demand that it be set up as a one world government with its own independent armed forces. Yeah, I like that. What's up, Jen?
I think everything froze.
Oh, for real?
Right. TikTok's back. Okay, it looks like it's coming back.
What about Twitch?
Twitch is not. Let's see.
Got kicked off Kick. Nice. I might just be streaming to too many. I probably was just streaming to too many places. That's probably what happened.
It looks like it's back.
We'll probably just not stream to Kick unless we lose YouTube. That was probably my bad. Do away with loyalty oaths. I love that. Continue giving Russia access to the U.S. patent schools to promote a certain ideology. Gain control of all student newspapers. I wouldn't be a fan of that, but again, that's what MAGA does. Use student riots to foment public protests against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. I don't know what that would even mean. I'm not familiar with what was happening at that time. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing. Yeah, everybody does that.
Twitch is down. Oh, now it's back.
Twitch?
Yeah. Twitch is down.
That never happens to Twitch. Okay. Continue discrediting American culture by degrading all forms of artistic expression. An American communist cell was told to eliminate all good sculpture from parks and buildings. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. I don't think that's that different from MAGA. Like, you guys hate art. This all sounds like Project 2025 to me. I do think that a lot of this stuff I have problems with, but I have the same problem with this as I do with Project 2025. Control art. Oh, I guess I could show you guys this. Sorry, I don't know. I'm just reading it and not showing you. Control, where was that? Art critics and directions of art museums. I mean, is that not what MAGA's doing right now with the Kennedy Center? Eliminate laws governing obscenity. I wouldn't agree with that. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in book. I doubt that was actually one of their goals. This sounds like something a right winger put in there, because I've never ever seen left wingers actually like promote pornography or obscenity. They just say like you have the freedom to do that. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. Love that. I'm a big fan of that. Infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Yeah, great. If churches are allowed to proselytize, you're allowed to try and fuck them up too. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Everything's TikTok's bad. If you're on TikTok, just leave. Just go somewhere else. Go to one of the other places. TikTok will always be bad. Discredit the American Constitution, calling it inadequate, old-fashioned. MAGA's doing that. Not a fan of that. Discredit the American founding fathers, present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. That's probably correct. I do think there is like some level where we should discredit the founding fathers. I'm tired of treating them as if they were gods. I have no problem with that. I hate that we look at the founding fathers like they can do no wrong. They wrote like a cool document. That's it. They were some fucked up people there too. Belittle all forms of American culture and discourage the teaching of American history on the ground that was only a minor part of the big picture. That's just correct. Give more credit to Russian history since communists took over. I don't know that much about Russian history. Support any social movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs. Yeah, I like that. I like centralized control over education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health. Yeah, I like that, actually. Maybe not mental health clinics. Eliminate laws or procedures which interfere with the operation of the communist apparatus. I don't like that. Eliminate the House Committee on Un-American Activities. Good. There should not be something called like un-American activities. You shouldn't be able to define that. In America, you can kind of, as long as it's within the law, you can say and do whatever you want. That's supposed to be the point. Discredit and eventually dismantle the FBI. Fucking awesome. I love that. Get rid of the FBI. Infiltrate and gain control of more unions. Gain control of big business. Again, those are both MAGA things too. Yeah, this is just a group of people who are ideologically driven. Dominate the psychiatric profession. If you're doing that and you're going to install communism, I don't like that. Discredit the family as an institution. I doubt they said that. I doubt they encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. Easy divorce is fine. It should be easy to get divorced. Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. I doubt they said that. Attribute prejudices, mental blocks, and retarding of children to suppress influence of parents. I think they're saying like the original word of retarding there. Create the impression that violence and insurrection are legitimate aspects of the American tradition. Yeah, they are. That's true. Overthrow all colonial governments before native populations are ready for self-government. No, not a fan. Internationalize the Panama Canal. I like that. Repeal the Connolly Reservation so the U.S. cannot prevent the World Court from seizing jurisdiction over domestic problems. Give the World Court jurisdiction over nations and individuals alike. Depending on how that was set up. Yeah, that's not that scary, but it's really, really, really close to any of these ideologically driven political movements. It just doesn't seem that different to me than what MAGA's trying to do. It should be harder to get married and easier to divorce. Yeah, for real. I don't know if it needs to be hard to get married. Maybe, I don't know. You could probably sell me on that. All right, there you go. We looked it up. I'm not that worried about that. It's also from 1963. But a lot of that stuff I would oppose just on the basis of I think ideologues are dangerous, and I don't think they add a lot of benefit to our country. Let's go here. Is this the right part? Yeah. There was a report that came out, I think Axios is the first one that had it, that the DNC did a post-mortem on the 2024 election, and then they've just refused to put it out there and make it public. That's dumb. It's wrong. I don't know why they're doing that. Basically, it says that the capitulation to Israel cost Kamala Harris a bunch of votes, and for whatever reason, I'm guessing these are just establishment Democrats, don't want it out there. Here's O'Connor on with breaking points, sharing the opinion that, like, why would Democrats not want this out there? Why would they not want their voters to see this? A more informed voter can make more informed decisions. Don't hide shit from us. This is why you lost trust in the first place. You did that, like when you fucked over Bernie Sanders, you lost a lot of people's trust, and you haven't done much to get that back. This is just another instance of establishment Democrats saying, we know the answers, don't bother.
Great to be back on.
Yeah, of course. So let's start with some intra-Democratic Party stuff, shall we? Let's put D1 up on the screen. The Democratic Party went through the trouble of doing an autopsy report after Kamala Harris loses to Donald Trump. And then after doing all of that work, they decided, you know what, we're actually not going to put that one out. Now we're getting some insight into potentially why they are so reticent.
I'm not a Marxist, Cass. Like, you guys don't know what Marxism is. If you think I'm a Marxist, then you clearly don't. I just spent the last 5 minutes criticizing some of the stuff from communism. I'm not a Marxist. I don't like ideologues. You only dislike Marxists because you're probably a Christian nationalist and it seems opposed to you. Stop worrying about ideologies. Start worrying about policy.
To put this information out into the public, contained in this secret report, they did find.
Also, sorry, there's no such thing as a communist country. There are 0 communist countries in the world.
That Kamala Harris's commitment to the Gaza genocide policy effectuated under the Biden-Harris administration did in fact cost her votes. That I don't think will be a surprise to many people watching this show. But the fact that the DNC has this information and doesn't want to release it to the public, I think is pretty revealing.
Well, it's totally unacceptable. I called last night for Ken Martin and the DNC to release this report. We need to know the hard truths about the genocide in Gaza and how the United States' role in preventing to stop that had an impact, not just on foreign policy, but on our party. And we need a new moral direction for our party. But I just don't understand the rationale for having a report that finds out why you lost and then.
Correct. North Korea and Vietnam are not communist. Correct. Thank you.
And hiding it. How can we run as the transparency party, as the party that is going to govern differently and not in secrecy, if we aren't willing to release things?
North Korea is a dictatorship. Thank you, Russell.
Like the DNC report.
Well, I think it connects a little bit to what is currently happening right now.
Yeah. I don't. Ro Khanna I'm like iffy on Ro Khanna. I do think he cozies up to corporations too much, but he has a sense of the pulse, and he and Thomas Massie both are feeling the same thing from their parties. Like, this isn't okay that we have taken these political parties and we just allow them to not tell us the truth. For something like this to be covered up and not released is just silly. It erodes trust. We want to know. People that are running for office should know this too. Like, I know that we like to think that candidates are pure and that they, well, maybe we don't, but we would want to believe that candidates are pure and they come to their own viewpoints and we're voting on their viewpoints. But it's not true. Like, we can influence what the candidates think. We can influence what the candidates campaign on. We can even get candidates to campaign and legislate in ways that don't align with their own personal beliefs. But we need that. That data is super important for anybody on the left that's running. They need to see that. However, I do think it's going to backfire for establishment Democrats because this is going to piss a lot of people off. And Democrats are probably fortunate right now that they are running against Donald Trump. Every single person running for office is running against Donald Trump because everybody running for office on the right is running on Donald Trump can do whatever the fuck he wants. So that's a benefit that they have right now. But if we had access to this, and they had access to this, the voters can pressure these people that are running for office to pull away from Israel. That would be a great thing. And part of pulling away for Israel, if you're going to pull away from Israel and you don't want to be viewed as like just anti-Israel or anti-Semitic, then you know what you have to do? You have to pull away from all foreign lobbying. You have to pull away from super PACs. If you don't want to be viewed as anti-Semitic, then you have to adjust your view to say, like, maybe we reverse Citizens United. Maybe we reverse that ruling. Maybe no more money in politics. Maybe you are a friend of Israel and you're a Democrat. Maybe you do support them. But if there's all this pressure to decouple from Israel and you don't want to just stand on that one issue, then you have to elaborate and expand and say, let's get money out of politics. That's a win-win-win-win-win. Everybody wins there. That's why we need reports like this. It's silly that they didn't put that out there. The Democratic leadership is a joke. I'm ready for new leadership. But at least Democratic leadership isn't actively covering up the Epstein files, and at least Democrats don't actively cover for sex abusers. We talked about Tony Gonzales yesterday. He's a GOP rep from Texas. It was revealed after some leaked comments went of him sexually harassing one of his constituents. Apparently, it then led to an affair, and then that staffer, excuse me. Then that staffer wound up unaliving themselves due to apparently the embarrassment caused by these leaking and the threats and the harassment. And so, again, even if this person, Tony Gonzales, had an affair, I think people do that in Congress. I think that that's people's personal decisions, and you can choose to vote for them or not, wherever your morals align. But the fact that they may or may not have had an affair after that was consensual doesn't change the fact that what he was doing was sexual harassment. It was still wrong, and he should be held accountable for that. So he's asked about this, and like all Republicans have learned, that if you get in trouble, just don't answer the question. Just keep ignoring the question, and Republicans won't care. They'll pretend like you that none of this happened. Jay, women don't set themselves on fire, just how black men don't. Yeah, that's probably a good point. I don't know the details of how that all happened. I haven't looked into it, but very well. That makes sense in my head, too. So let's not rule that out. Thank you. It's a good reminder.
No, you're not. Are those text messages correct? Are they accurate?
Go back
I
so
am
you
not
can hear the
resign.
question.
No, you're not.
Oh,
Are those text messages correct? Are they accurate? I am.
Dems don't do the same. You're lying about that, baby Ruth. If you get caught sexually harassing somebody as a Democrat, at least in the modern Democrat Party, the last 10 to 15 years, you lose your place in office. It's not true. Fundamentally not true. Go ahead and give me an example of somebody who got caught doing something like this and didn't resign or lose their election or weren't forced to resign.
I'm not going to resign.
Yeah, Al Franken, exactly. Allegations of sexual harassment, and he resigned. Not here on the Republicans, though, because the truth is they don't really see it as a problem. And the sad part is there's this culture built around this as well, where it's not just the men. The women don't view it as a problem. The women just view it as like, oh, that's just part of life. That's boys being boys, and they excuse it. And so this type of abuse just continues and continues and continues. That's why it's been sad. And I like three people I really don't like: Anna Paulina Luna, Nancy Mace, and Lauren Boebert. They're speaking out about this, about sexual harassment. Good. It's good to see. But like always in the Republican Party, the only people with even like a speck of a spine are the women in your party.
Are they accurate? I am not going to resign. I work every day. I work every day for the people of Texas.
But are those text messages? Are they accurate? Are those real text messages?
I am not going to resign. I'm not going to resign. I work every day for the people of Texas.
Did you carry?
That's not the question.
There will be an opportunity for all the details and facts to come out. What you've seen is not all the facts.
Did you have an extramarital affair?
Okay, but you sexually harassed her. Like, I don't need all the facts to know that part was wrong and you shouldn't hold office. There's just no standard for any of you. There's no standard on this side of the aisle. I don't understand it. Don't you have like wives, daughters, mothers, friends that are women? Don't you want some protection for them? You think they should just be allowed to be sexually harassed? No problem? If you can't hear, it's only coming out of one side of the headphones, so you may need to switch that.
What you've seen is not all the facts, and there'll be an ample time for all of that to come out.
What are the facts? Can you address it right now? Your constituents want to know.
My constituents are not here in D.C. My constituents are back home in Texas.
What do you make of some of your colleagues?
So not answering the question. Just refuse. That's a good point, James. Files were only released. One thing you might be new here. Try not to write in all caps. But the files were only released because voters in both parties demanded it. Trump voters were very upset and demanded it too. It shows that we can make things happen if united. I agree with that. And that's why I've never figured out how a Republican or a Democrat, anybody that's running for office right now, why don't you just run on, let's do Medicare for all and let's end Citizens United? If that was your only platform, you would win. Regardless of party, you would win. Because people would see the benefits of both those policies and win. But we don't. Instead, we argue back and forth about dumb shit, which I do here. But every day I do remind people that Medicare for all and ending Citizens United fix tons of our problems. Immediately overnight, we're better as a country if we do that. And we should do that. Also a reminder, we have our healthcare hoodies. They look like the Freedom Charlie Kirk writing. It says healthcare across the front. I'll wear it tomorrow. It's literally right there drying. But we have those in our merch shop. You can get that in the link tree in the bio there. All right. Here's Kevin McCarthy. And not a big fan of Kevin McCarthy, but Kevin McCarthy was one of the few people who was willing to stand up against Matt Gaetz and try and get rid of Matt Gaetz for the allegations against Matt Gaetz. And Christian Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike Johnson, Moses Mike Johnson, seems to abandon all of his religious principles and never wants to hold anybody accountable. But here's what Kevin McCarthy had to say about it on the takeout with Major Garrett.
Let me ask you about something, because you dealt with some very difficult issues internally within the House Republican Conference when you were Speaker. Tony Gonzales has faced several calls this week to resign. Why? Because Regina Santos Aviles, who was in his employ, says she had an affair with him. She committed suicide. She set herself on fire in shame over this. Gonzales continues to say he's not going to resign, that the Ethics Committee will handle this. How do you regard this situation?
You know, Congress is a microcosm of society. You have good and bad in every place. It's just like a
Should he
big
resign?
office.
Sorry, Mrs. When Alex said, what's the hardest part about eating a vegetable? Jesus. Putting them back in the wheelchair. All right.
Yes, he should. And
Jesus
look,
Christ.
I think
Fred Upton was on my show last night and said it's very clear. You have any kind of sexual relation with someone in your employ, you're out.
Well, look, if this was in a business, he would have been fired.
True.
If you have this knowledge, how do you endorse him? If you didn't know that.
So Vietnam, yeah, I don't know why you're struggling with this. Vietnam, who is governed by the Communist Party of Vietnam, and we're going to end this communism shit right now. In communism, there is no government. There is no class system, and there is no money. Calling yourself a communist does not make your country communist. So when I say there are no communist countries, they can't exist. It's like saying there is no dry water. It cannot exist. You cannot have dry water. Water is wet. That's how it works. So is your mom if she's watching this, by the way. Okay? Just calling yourself something doesn't make you that thing.
Knowledge, and you do now, how do you stay quiet? This young lady committed suicide. It's devastating.
That's true. Water's not wet. Whatever. Water gets you wet. This is all going to get clipped. This is all going to be bad. Thick water.
What has transpired here. She worked for him, and if you look at these emails today, she literally says, boss, this is too much. She asked,
it feels very bad.
Did you pick me? He said, I knew you from the chamber. I mean, this is unacceptable. But this is where the leaders of the conference, we would have to step in. You step in these situations to protect
Is something
everybody
missing
else.
right now at the leadership level?
Look, I'm not there, but there are situations I had to deal with, from Steve King to others from North Carolina. And
Madison Cawthorn, Matt Gaetz?
Yeah. Well, Matt Gaetz made a motion to remove me from Speaker because he wanted me to step in to the ethics report and try to change it, and I would not. I would sacrifice my job because you've got to be able to have a new standard.
Yeah, we basically have Mike Johnson because a bunch of people were helping to get rid of McCarthy because Matt Gaetz didn't want his ethics investigation to be public. However, I think Madison Cawthorn, I think I saw it today. I think he got arrested today, now that they bring that up. Did I miss it? It might have been an older one. I think he got arrested for like missing court or something like that. Somebody check if that's true. I'm not sure. I saw it
Let me
today
ask you about something, because you...
All right. And now Nancy Mace with Anna Paulina Luna. We got McCarthy, who's no longer in the party. He's willing to stand up for women. The rest of the party's like it's fine. And then you have two people with some of the worst politics you'll ever see in your life, also standing up for women.
Congresswoman, you've called for the resignation of Tony Gonzales. Have you heard anything back from leadership?
No, we haven't, and I filed a resolution last night to publicly expose all the sexual harassment violations of members of Congress. I'll file it as privileged next week.
Okay. Raise your hand if you think that Nancy Mace's privileged request to release all of the sexual harassment allegations against members of Congress should be public. I think 100% of us are going to agree with that, right? Certainly, we don't want that being hidden. That's a good point, Travel Casey. The official name of North Korea is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, but we don't think they're democratic, right? Good point. Like, we would all agree with that. But now listen to what Anna Paulina Luna says, which is unfortunately just very, very true.
I'll force a vote on it.
How quickly could a vote come?
2 days, a day or two after. I'll file on the 4th, we'll probably vote on the 5th.
Is this something like the Epstein files? It's going to take months and months and months to see those.
They'll probably just refer it to committee and sweep it under the rug like they always do.
Where it will die. Everything goes to die in committee.
Yep.
But if it's going to die
Everything goes to die in committees.
in the committee, then how can the American people, how can Texans, his constituents specifically, know what happened?
Voters are going to have to turn out against him or, force him to resign. I mean, I don't know how he moves forward. It was disgusting. It was shameful. And it's why many women feel like second-class citizens. And we just got to say no more. He's got to go.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman.
Thank you.
Congresswoman.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the files. That's exactly what they tried to do with the files. They tried to bury him in committee. What do we got Trump humpers in here just like telling us his accomplishments? Cool, relax, we'll get there. I know that women are speaking right now. I know we're talking about abusing women and that makes you uncomfortable, but fucking relax. Talk about this. DFF, here's your opportunity while you're talking about this. What is it? DFF 1523. What do you have to say about these Republicans like Gonzales who are sexually harassing women? And you only have one shot at this answer to not get muted. If you're going to try and deflect from this, I'm going to ask you your opinion on that. So what should be done about Tony Gonzales, who was sexually harassing a staffer, which one is a crime. And then two, according to ethics, having that affair should get them removed as well. Should he be removed and should Republicans act on that? Cawthorn was in 2025, but he's arrested and then a month later ran for Congress in Florida. Okay, that was an old one. So we'll wait for that answer, but we're not going to get distracted. I'm tired of you weak ass men who want to change the subject every time we talk about women being abused. I'm with you, George. I get that. Look, you don't have to celebrate these women who are coming forward if you don't want to. I'm always going to. I think that as much as I don't like them, it takes courage to stand against their entire party. It takes courage for women to stand up and speak, knowing what's going to happen to them, knowing how that's going to be received. Get rid of him. He should step down. Simple. Great. Thank you. Glad. Now, DFF, one other question. How come why do you think the Republicans, all the men in the Republican Party, and most of the women refuse to even take that up? Why do you think Mike Johnson refuses to take that up? Yeah, American Memer, you can ask me a question. Go ahead. Good point, Greg. Power imbalance makes that affair an issue on that reason alone. Yeah, if you have that power imbalance, and you're not explicit, and I mean, it makes it really hard to even get consent. Am I bi? No, but sometimes I let your dad blow me, but that's just for fun and money. However, shout out to all our bi friends. Hope you're living life to the fullest. If they're not releasing the full files, then why don't the women just tell their full stories and their experiences? Because, my friend, nobody will believe them, and they're afraid for their lives. And the fact that, like, even you asking that question, why don't you just take that energy and pressure Republicans to do it? Take whatever that energy you have and press them. Stop blaming the women. Don't ask the women to do the heavy lifting again. Why is it always women's responsibility to do the heavy lifting when a bunch of MAGA Republicans are covering up the Epstein files? Don't ask for them to do anything. They were abused. Help them. Can't lose when you play for both teams. That's right, Shark Kitty. Brother, Sky Morris, brother, you're not going to offend anybody in here, but you're not going to offend me by calling me gay. So we're clear. Who the fuck cares? What if I was a glizzy gobbler? What if I ended this stream and just there was a line of dicks and I just went and sucked every one of them? What does that change? You're not going to offend anybody. Nobody's it's not an insult to call me gay. What? I don't get it. You're in the wrong place, man. Those insults work on your dipshit insecure friends who have questionable search histories. Yeah, there's the clip. Who the fuck cares, man? Fuck, maybe I'll do it just to piss you off. Cool. All right, let's get into the State of the Union. We watched it last night. It sucked. And if you didn't watch it last night, Zateo has decided to clip it. They watched the whole thing and gave you 2 minutes. And here's a brief recap of what happened last night.
A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Mods, feel free to any homophobia or transphobia, just mute people. That's fine. Free reign to mute people today.
Hottest. Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much.
I liked that part because everybody laughing is like, oh, we're the bitches he's talking about. We're the ones that are crying about winning too much. Everybody that's laughing at this is only laughing at themselves. This is obviously not a thing that happens.
And I say, no, no, no. You're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win
civility.
bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud.
That doesn't prove the point that you just made there, bud. You would need, in order to prove that point, you would bring somebody forward and they'd be like, it's true. I've been begging him not to win so much because I can't handle it. That would prove the point. But bringing on people then who won a hockey match, that doesn't prove the point at all. That's just word association with winning. We're doing so much winning, I'll prove it by showing you somebody who won that I had nothing to do with.
The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in. And in 1 year, we have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps.
That was my favorite part. We took 2.4 million people who were poor and stole their money and gave it to rich people. And the Republicans are like, fuck yeah, dude. I fucking love that. Fuck poor people, you know? Fuck them. All these people in this room, they don't know what it's like to be poor.
So in my first year of the second term, should be my third term, but strange things happen. Let's also ensure that...
I also didn't understand what, like, is that funny? I don't understand what you guys laugh at. Your sense of humor is weird.
Members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
That already, this was my favorite part. This law already exists. It is illegal for members of Congress to trade on insider information. I think it's called like I don't remember, it's the Stock Act. I can't remember exactly. It was passed in like 2012 or 2013. The Republicans keep doing this weird thing because their voters don't know anything. They just keep passing laws that already exist. And then when Democrats are like, this exists, they're like, so you don't support it? It's like, huh? No, it exists. Why are we wasting our time? That's already a law. What are you going to pass a law like, it's no longer legal to murder in this country? Oh, yeah, that's already a law.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you.
That's a good point. Republicans are actively ignoring it this term. They are insider trading like motherfuckers.
Crazy. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities.
So I'm saying, no, look, it is a law, but they don't enforce it. The problem with our insider trading laws is nobody enforces it. And I will just say this. I wouldn't be surprised if Nancy Pelosi was feeding information to her husband and insider trading. But this just goes to show like how easily you guys are manipulated by talking points. She's nowhere near the best at it. If you look, I think it's like 7 of the top 10 stock traders in Congress and in the Senate. 7 out of the top 10 are Republicans, and none of those 10 are Nancy Pelosi. It just shows like they give you an idea, they attach a name to it, usually a woman or somebody who's is a black or brown person, because they got to make sure that you already have discredited them based on their identity, and then they sell you on this idea. But like the problem, there's no enforcement. And this new law that they're writing, it doesn't change the enforcement aspect. You're already supposed to enforce it. Nobody's enforcing it. There are better acts, and I think Ro Khanna is one of the people that signed it. I might be wrong about that, but in fact, AOC and Matt Gaetz co-sponsored a bill that basically said you you can't buy stocks as a member of Congress. You cannot buy stocks. That's how you fix it. Don't allow them to have it. What do you think? We're gonna expect Congress to police themselves? Of course, they're not going to police themselves. This is just catnip for Republicans. Here, guys, look, we get to talk shit about Nancy Pelosi now. And you're like, yeah, dude, fuck Nancy Pelosi. They don't monitor themselves.
That protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind.
I mean, it's just like blatant racism last night. God, what happened to the? I got really bright in that camera.
Us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself, and I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday.
I agree with you, Pete. This guy's a sad loser. I agree. That was it was the dumbest State of the Union for sure. Like if you just took like all the words that he spoke, we're talking about pretty on par with Trump, 4th grade level stuff. It was just petty bullshit. He turned it into like an awards ceremony, which was weird. What was racist? When he called Somalis pirates. That's what was racist. What's racist? Like, I don't even know why I bother trying to fucking explain it to you. There's nothing that you think is racism. Outside of like killing somebody, like a person of color, and then admitting that you only did it because that person was a person of color. Like, that's the only explanation that MAGA will accept for racism. Everything else is just, like they say, it's just truth. But you guys don't know how to find truth. This was a Nick Shirley thing. He said that fraud was piracy. No, those are two different words for a reason. They mean two very different things. The people that committed fraud in Minnesota, one, the ringleader was a white lady, and two, they weren't committing piracy. They were committing fraud. Why don't I go to Somalia? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. You're not allowed to correct Donald Trump or else you have to leave the country. My bad. I'm sorry. When Donald Trump says something stupid, if you correct him, then you better go to another country. God, you guys are all dumb. Every last fucking one of you. I swear to God. I want to talk about some free speech here and some crybaby bullshit. Here's Mark, Wayne, Lee Harvey, McMullins, McAdams, McStuffin, McLovin, very upset at Al Green holding a sign and tries to steal it. And Zoink, what are you so mad about, you dumb bitch? How do you get that mad on the House floor? What are you upset about right there?
Yeah, give me that. Give me that. Don't you dare correct Donald Trump's racism. Oh, I almost got it. I'm going to get it this time. Get it next time. Let's try that one more time. Whoa! Oh, I got widow arms. T-Wex. All 5'7" of him with his short, stubby fucking arms. Can't get it. Al Green just laughs at him. Piracy by another name. No, don't be dumb. What happened to free speech, guys? You guys are trying to silence free speech over there? How come he's trying to rip that sign away? This was my favorite part of the night, by far. There were not very many good moments, but this was my favorite moment of the night.
All Democrats, every single one of them, voted against these really important and very necessary massive tax cuts.
Yeah, all of them voted not to give money, take money from poor people and give it to rich people. Yeah. There was one of the few bright spots last night. Democrats like, yeah, we stand up for working class people.
All them.
Yeah. Ooh, we got the. If you're not in YouTube, they're very upset today. They're not handling this well this morning. This from Frank Luntz, by the way, Republican pollster and consistently a MAGA bootlicker. He posted this video and he said, "This is a huge misstep. Mocking the word affordability when Americans are still feeling the squeeze at the grocery store is the kind of moment that clips very, very badly."
Now the same people.
Oh, sorry. Let me do this. Can I move? Where do you want me to move, Jen? Dustin said, MAGA doesn't care about detention center deaths, so not even that looks like racism to them. No, they don't believe in racism. They don't think it's a real thing. They just want to be able to say whatever the fuck they want and treat people poorly. Reminder, we are crowdfunded. Watch the YouTube chat now. This one's really going to fuck them up. We are crowdfunded. We rely on your generosity to fund this show every single day. We don't take sponsors. George Soros isn't cutting us checks, unfortunately. So just a reminder, we do have a gift goal every day, and we'll be going for another 2 hours and 30-ish minutes. If you could help us knock out that gift goal, that'd be greatly appreciated. You know all the ways, and I'll read anything that you write. And MAGA, if you're very upset in the chat and you want me to read what you have to say, there's ways to do. You can super chat it. You can do that. That's the best way to make sure I catch what you say. The chat's moving pretty quick. So, all right.
In this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word they just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem.
Yeah, members of Congress don't set prices. That's fucking stupid. Anybody with a third of a brain knows that. This didn't even get much applause. That was pretty scattered. This guy went to Wharton School of Business. He claims to have an economics degree. If he did, he forgot all of it.
They knew their statements were a lie. They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie.
Well, there's statements that there's an affordability problem. This is what Frank Luntz is saying. Like, this isn't going to clip well. He's pointing at the Democrats for advocating to do something about the affordability crisis in this country. And he's calling it a dirty lie. It's not going to play well.
Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well. Those prices are plummeting downward.
If a Democrat said it, we'd go for it. You're projecting. When you say dumb shit like that like we only are negative about Trump, but if a Democrat said it, we would just go along with it. One, I don't know how long you've been here. We started the show with me shitting on Democrats. I've done it repeatedly. I'm not a Democrat. I don't like Democrats, but they're not in power, so we're not going to blame them for fucking anything. Anything that has happened under the Trump administration is the fault of the Trump administration. Democrats have no ability to pass laws. They have no ability to block laws. The only time they can block anything is when they get some Republicans to join them. So live with it. Sit with it. But that's just you projecting. That when you hear something negative about Trump, you project that onto me. Sorry, address it. If I'm wrong, tell me why I'm wrong here. But address the real criticism here instead of being a little baby and crying about it.
The price of eggs
I bet it didn't make
is
sense
down 60%, Madam Secretary. Thank you. The cost of chicken, butter, fruit, hotels, automobiles, rent is lower today than when I took office by a lot.
Almost none of that is true. Chicken prices and egg prices did come down, but that's like when you have a bird flu come through and wipe out a bunch of chickens. Oh shit, we probably have to explain this to Maggie. Okay, chickens, those little little birds, they're flightless, they run around, they lay eggs. That's where we get our eggs, right? And the chicken that you eat when your mom warms up your nuggets, that is the leftover of dead chickens, and they kind of mix it all together into a paste, and then they form it into a nugget, and your mom throws it in the air fryer for you. That also comes from chickens. And supply and demand is this principle where if you have a high demand for something and a low supply, the prices go higher. And if as you reverse that, as they level out or it goes the other way, the prices come back down. So when you have 300 million chickens that get the bird flu, you don't have eggs and you don't have chicken. And so the prices go up. And then when that goes away, the prices come back down. So it is true, but that's nothing to do with, the reason it went up had nothing to do with Biden. The reason it came down had nothing to do with Trump. It's just like basic supply and demand. That's how poorly things are going for the Republicans, that the only things last night they were able to celebrate were shit that they had absolutely no control over. The rest of the things that he listed, the prices are not coming down, except for, in some cases, automobiles that are too expensive, like the Ford Bronco, for example, or the Tesla Cybertruck, or, you know, $100,000 Ford Raptor. People can't afford these expensive new cars and trucks anymore. So those prices have come back down. But again, that's supply and demand. So what Trump is essentially saying here is that the chicken stuff, which he had nothing to do with, those prices came down. And the car prices that are coming down, that's an affordability crisis, which he just pointed at the Democrats and said, that's a fucking hoax. You made that whole thing up. That he is causing supply and demand with taxing the fuck out of people. It's funny that they claim that they lowered taxes. The average American paid $1,700 extra this last year because of tariffs. That's a tax. The Supreme Court has ruled that a tax. So he's increased your taxes, and you have less money, and we're losing jobs. Things are getting more expensive, and that's why some of these prices have stabilized and come back down. But he's not going to say that because that would look bad, right? So he's just going to claim it as an accomplishment instead.
And even beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly. Just hold on a little while.
Significantly? Significant? What was that word you said there, Donnie?
Significantly. Just hold on a little.
Well, one more time.
To come down significantly. Just hold.
Significantly.
Hold on a little while. We're getting it down.
Yeah. We get to make fun of you because you made fun of Joe Biden. That's the word. Let me get some of these comments. Trudy said, "Keep those lights on." Thank you, Trudy. Christy, that's why it's dark here. Until we're done with the show, I can't turn on my lights. Christy said, "It's been a fun one today. Fuck Donald Trump." Jamar said, "I heard you needed dicks to suck, a mouse a mouth, right?" That's right, Jamar. Sam said, "Couldn't figure it out on Twitch, so here's a little with interest. Thanks again for all you and the team do." Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. All right. Now moving on to this pissed me off, actually. Hey, well, let's do some bipartisanship here, should we? Can we do some bipartisanship here, MAGA? Let's do an olive branch here. This pissed me off.
They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe.
Speaking of Iran right now.
And our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment, again, pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those.
Thank you, Becky, for the George Soros payment.
Secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference. My preference is.
Can we stop? Can we just stop fucking with Iran? They're not a threat to us. I'm still waiting for somebody to explain that. I'm open to being wrong about that. But how is Iran a threat to us? Secondly, what Donald Trump just said there is, I'm not going to cut a deal until they promise to not get a nuclear weapon. We'll get to that in a second. But remember that that's what he said. That's why he's cutting this deal now. That's why he's threatening to bomb them.
Is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
Once again, just a reminder, they are not the #1 world sponsor of terror. We are. We are by far the #1 world sponsor of terror. We just don't call it that. Did someone tell him to drop his tone? No, it's because he doesn't fucking care about foreign policy. He only gets excited when he gets to be cruel. He only gets excited when he's bragging about himself or he gets to be an asshole. When we get into foreign policy, this dude goes low energy faster than anybody I've ever seen. He fucking hates talking foreign policy. He hates talking about any sort of policy. The only time he's pumped is if he gets to brag about himself. And that's the only time MAGA's pumped either. Like, I love it when he blows himself. It's the only way I can come. So I hated that. Can we just be honest about Iran? Here's John Toon on Fox News. I think afterwards. It might have been before. I didn't get the exact time here. What it might say the time on the. And it doesn't say there. Here's John Toon.
Peter Thune, and folks are wondering.
I'm hateful why am I hateful? Because I don't want to go to war. You're so hateful for not threatening other countries and saying mind our business. Yeah, my bad.
After this briefing, are we going to war?
I don't know the answer to that, Aisha. I think that the president is preparing us to defend America's vital national security interests, both in that.
What does that mean? If in talking about getting what are our vital national security interests that we're protecting in Iran? I'll chat. You can let me know. Betsy said, in honor of the YouTube bots, fuck MAGA. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for joining the Dollar Train. I appreciate that. What are these national security interests that we're protecting? Does he just not want to say Israel? Is that it? One stream last night was counting the lies as he spoke. We should have done that. How many did it get up to? We have a bunch of naval assets surrounding Iran. What do you think?
Maybe we pull back. Maybe we don't surround Iran.
Why are they there? For Israel. They're not there for us. It's not making your life better. It's costing you more money. We're just paying a bunch of money to protect Israel. Glenn Roy, if you didn't have my type here, the whole country would be filled with dumbasses like you. Don't complain. Just let daddy government do what they want. You fucking cuck. There it is. Please leave America, you hater. Jesus Christ, you guys are losing it. We're not triggered. Yeah, you are. Sitting around with limp dicks in your hand. Why won't it get hard? It used to get me hard. I need him to step it up. I just want to watch daddy government do their job. Maybe the 30,000 plus dead civilians. Wait, so 30,000 dead Iranians is in our is in our national interest? Is that what you're saying? What about the 100,000 plus dead Gazans? We didn't step in to protect them.
Well, it's not. That's the thing. It's not really about that.
No new wars, right? No regime change wars. That's what they ran on. We're not going to do regime change wars. Why are we doing regime change wars? I haven't read it yet. Covey sent me some stuff. I'm going to have her on probably. Maybe I'll get her on Friday to talk about some other stuff that's going on in the Middle East and in Africa. But anything? You guys don't have answers for that? Yeah, nobody does. I don't know what we're protecting over there. It's costing us a fortune to go over there and just bomb Iran, and we got our naval fleets out there. It's costing us billions of dollars for Lord knows what.
A region and here at home. I mean, we cannot tolerate a nuclear Iran. He made that clear in his speech last night.
Why? Why can't we tolerate that?
I hope at least that big majority of Americans agree with.
That's obviously my voice. Yeah, it came out of my mouth, bud. That was good. Sometimes I change it. But yeah, any voice coming out of my mouth is my voice.
But we have vital interests in that region, and obviously the capabilities that the Iranians have to hit a lot of our allies in the region is something that we have to be.
Oh, so I was right? You have all the answers. No, I don't have the answers. I'd like an answer. I'm asking you for an answer. We don't have answers, so we're going to insult you. He just said it. We're there because of our allies. Okay, let's look at this map here. The Saudis, who give Trump a lot of money. I don't know if we'd consider the Iraqis our allies here. Pakistanis, Afghanistan. Who are these allies of ours? What's Iran doing to them? Out of curiosity.
well attuned to as well. And I think the president is pursuing peace through strength by ensuring that America has the right assets in the right place.
There's my answer. You don't understand this answer.
At the right time.
That's it. There's a map. He didn't give an answer. That was me talking again.
Hopefully it won't be necessary. If the Iranians come to the table, I think there's potentially a deal that could be made there.
Do you get the
All right, MAGA. I've got a question for you. MAGA only. And you guys, fucking, our audience, please refrain. This is MAGA only, or independent voters who aren't planning to vote for a Democrat. If Iran came to the table and they said, let's not go to war, here's what we'll do. We'll promise never to develop a nuclear weapon. We'll take like our uranium enrichment and we'll take it down to like 3%. So that there's no way we could have a weapon. We'll still have a nuclear program, but that nuclear program is going to be geared towards like generating power. And you can come. In fact, you can come like be in charge. You can send some Americans over, and you can come inspect it to make sure that we're keeping the rules. Please don't bomb us. We promise never to have a nuke, and we'll keep enrichment at like 3%. Would you guys support that over bombing them? Thumbs up if you would support that over bombing them. Thumbs down if you still think we should just bomb them instead. It sounds like that's what Toon is saying. And it sounds like that's what Trump said, that he's going to bomb them unless they agree to that. So it sounds like what they're doing is they're using force to get them to agree to a deal like that. And so, MAGA, I'm guessing that you guys agree with Trump. Just thumbs up if you agree with Trump and John Toon there, that they can't have a nuclear weapon and they have to promise, and we have to have some sort of oversight over their nuclear program. And while we're doing that, I'll play you guys an ad while I get a drink. Where is it? Like, nobody's as soft as a conservative. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Those conservative men are soft as shit. That's why every time you go to a conservative podcast, it's like, and now to our sponsor, Blue Chew. Your dick can work again. You don't have to scream at women when your dick doesn't work. This'll fix it. All right, so I didn't see a single thumbs down. I think a deal like that would look something like the JCPOA. The JCPOA was established in 2015 with help from the UN and during the Obama administration. And here's what the JCPOA guaranteed. This guaranteed that Iran would cap their uranium enrichment at 3.67%. That's well below weapons grades. And that they would agree to do that for 15 years and then renegotiate. Enrichment would only be allowed at one facility, the Natanz facility, and the Fordow facility, which is what we bombed just recently, would be converted to a research like physics center, and you couldn't have uranium there for 15 years. Again, same thing, and then you renegotiate after 15 years. Iran agreed to dismantle 2/3 of the installed centrifuges, which left 5,060 first-generation IR-1 machines, and they only operated in Natanz for 10 years. Iran had to cut its low-enriched uranium stockpile by 98%. So they had to take all of the uranium that they had stockpiled and purchased and get rid of it down to 98% to a maximum capacity of 300 kilograms. And that uranium could only be enriched up to 3.67%, 15-year deal. Excess enriched uranium had to be diluted to natural grade, or if they didn't want to dilute it to natural grade, they had to sell it, and it had to be removed from the country. The Arak reactor was redesigned and rebuilt so it could not produce weapons-usable plutonium in any significant quantities. They spent fuel from Iraq and other reactors, the spent fuel from Iraq and other ARAK, I think it's Iraq or Iraq, don't know, had to be shipped out of Iran for the lifetime of the existence of that reactor. They could have no new heavy water reactors for 15 years, and limits on heavy water stocks, no reprocessing of facilities or separate plutonium from spent fuel for 15 years. Iran had to implement the IAEA additional protocol, which every country that has a nuclear stockpile has to agree to, except for some reason Israel. They're the only ones who do not have to abide by the IAEA additional protocols, which gives inspectors access to your sites. And it's not just the United States, like it's the IAEA, which is a bunch of countries. And they get to come in and they get access to your sites. They get to inspect your uranium mines, your mills, your centrifuge production. And that was going to go for 25 years. It would give IAEA continuous surveillance, including cameras, seals, online enrichment monitors. So anything that they were doing, there would be continuous surveillance, no lapses in that surveillance. So on top of being able to go in there and inspect, you also had access to their surveillance systems that they're using to monitor their uranium enrichment program. And then the physical limits were designed to lengthen and that they'd break out over time and again renegotiate in 15 years. So exactly what Republicans are advocating for right now. Why don't we have that deal in place? Why'd we quit that deal? Because Israel convinced Donald Trump to withdraw from it. That's why. Make your wrong point. I don't know what you're saying. That's DH. I don't understand any of this. Could you please get to your point so that I can just summarily dismiss it? Sorry, that's too big of a word. Yeah. So now we're threatening them to get the same deal back that he already canceled? How many fucking times does Trump have to do this? I don't like this deal that Obama negotiated. I'm going to threaten you and renegotiate. And then if they do renegotiate the deal, he'll be like, it's the greatest deal ever. It's going to be the same fucking deal. Isn't that embarrassing? No. It's 4D chess. All right. I liked this one too. This one made me so happy because this was the moment last night that I realized, and today, as every MAGA content creator on Twitter has reposted this like it's a fucking walk-off. This is when we all knew for sure that MAGA Republicans, either they're probably a mix of these things, but one, they have no understanding of how our Constitution works. They have no understanding of Supreme Court precedent, and they just don't like people that look different than them. They think that they're icky. And so my favorite moment of the night was when every Republican in the room stood up and cheered. It was the loudest cheer they got all night. And Republicans all over the internet got their dicks hard for Donald Trump saying something that was unequivocally untrue and unconstitutional.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
We don't understand a fucking thing. We just hate immigrants. Get it out. Get it out, dumb shits in the chat. Get it out.
This was an embarrassing move by the Dems.
You said you're so mad the Dems weren't clapping? All right, you're wrong, dude. Let me tell you about this. So if you are here and you are here illegally, if you're undocumented, here's what you have the right to. Now, he said that you have to choose to protect Americans over people who are here illegally. That's not true. You're actually required to, the U.S. government is required by the Constitution and by Supreme Court rulings and precedent to treat them almost exactly the same. There are very few instances where if you are here illegally, you are not treated the same. But let's talk about that. If you are here and you are undocumented, you have due process rights. You have the 5th and the 14th Amendment that apply to you. The Supreme Court has ruled on this. It's precedent on top of precedent on top of precedent. That persons in the United States cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without fair procedures, due process, the process that you are due. If you are here in this country, whether you are documented or undocumented, the Constitution applies to you. And the Constitution is a list of like what the government's role is and what the government can and cannot do. So every amendment in the Constitution that applies to rights for being here or just being in this country apply to people who are here who are undocumented. That includes free speech. That includes the freedom of assembly. Undocumented immigrants have the right to speak, to protest. They can practice whatever religion they want, the same way that you and I can do that. And again, you can argue that, but you're just arguing your opinion, and you're arguing against the Constitution, and you would have been the same dumb motherfucker standing up and cheering with Donald Trump. You would have been exactly the same. You have protection for the given to you by the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable searches and seizures. Do you know that? No, we didn't know that. If you're here, you don't get protections. No, that's just a dumb opinion that you have because you hate immigrants. You have the right to fair removal proceedings. This is according to U.S. Code Section 8-1229A, saying in a standard removal proceedings, an immigration judge must, not can, not sometimes, must hear the case. They are entitled to due process. Their case must be heard. And the government bears the burden there of proving that you actually committed a crime. That's how our Constitution works, right? Innocent until proven guilty. That applies to anybody you suspect being here undocumented. In order to prove that they're undocumented, they have a due process. That's how it works. That's why when somebody goes out and commits a heinous crime, you can't just go and attack them. Cain Velasquez, if any of you guys are like WWE fans or UFC fans, this happened to Cain Velasquez. He had, I think it was his niece. Somebody was abusing his niece, and he found out about it, and he got in like a car chase with the person who abused his niece, and he shot into the car. It hit another man. He went to prison. Now, a lot of people might say that's worth it, and I'm fine with that. If Cain Velasquez wants to do the prison time for doing that, like, you know, I've got a daughter. I can't tell you that I would act very rationally if somebody abused my daughter. I worry about that. I don't think there's a lot of rationality to me when it comes to my daughter. But he still had to face the consequences. He can't just break the law because he didn't like what they did. Now, you can celebrate it if you want, but you can't just say like the law doesn't apply to them. If you are here undocumented, you have the right to not only notice of a hearing, but then the hearing itself. And the government has to serve a notice to appear in the same way that they have to serve anybody else for a court case. You are required to be served, and they have to prove that they served you. And that notice to appear has to describe the charges and the legal basis, and that the person's entitled to a hearing. The only exception, the only difference between, and this is because of laws that we've written later, the only real difference is that if you or I is subject to a court hearing and we are poor, we have the option for the government to provide an attorney for us. If you are here and you're undocumented, if that's the charge against you, then no, you don't have a right to an attorney that is paid for by the government. The only exception to any of this is laws that we've written in later, which are expedited removals within 100 miles of the border. So when you see like the deportation numbers of Biden or Trump's first administration or Obama, and you see these massive numbers, that's mostly people who were encountered and apprehended within 100 miles of the border. And if that happens, you get those expedited removal processes and you lose your due process. So if you wanted to make the argument that somebody who was here and they were undocumented got picked up by ICE and then or CBP and they were removed without a court hearing, they better be within 100 miles of the border. Otherwise, you are in violation of the Constitution. So when Trump says this, he's lying. Well, I take that back. He's not lying. He doesn't fucking know. He has no use for the Constitution. But the entire Republican Party stood and cheered for that. And all your content creators openly are celebrating this obvious violation of our laws and our Constitution. And you're taking a victory lap for this. Like you did something. What you did is expose how goddamn dumb you and all of your leaders are and how willing you are to violate the Constitution if you fucking want to. You just get to do it. This should have been an embarrassing moment, and you should be embarrassed now. You're still not going to be because, again, like, don't call us racist. Well, don't advocate for violating the Constitution because it's black and brown people. Just don't do that. It's hard to figure out if you're like. It's hard for me to say, oh, they're not racist when you celebrate obvious violations of the Constitution. I don't remember if there's anything else. Oh, another thing that you may not know. Based on Supreme Court precedent, if you are here and you are undocumented and you are of the age K through 12, so under the age of 18, you also have the right to attend school. You can't tell undocumented children that they can't go to public school. They have that right too. That's the law. And our government is required to protect those children. How this all works. This is just blatant. If you don't want to call it racism, if you want to call it bigotry, you can call it whatever you want. If you want to call it great replacement theory, phobia, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Call it whatever the fuck you want. But it's wrong. It's just, it is in clear violation of the Constitution. Look at these motherfuckers over here not cheering for violating the Constitution. Clown Meat said, shout out to the moon and the sun and the stars. God damn, the whole sky is getting it. Amber said, it's why we're spending billions to hold them instead of removing them. Most are not criminals. Many will and have been being let out. True. Sorry, I'm reading a message from Jen. Okay, I see what you're saying, Jen. Even Fetterman didn't get up and clap for that. Thanks, David. I love how confident you are that I'm ignorant when I'm citing the Constitution. This guy with his citing U.S. code, citing amendments with all his confidence. Why doesn't he just say what we say? Yeah, Burned Out Medic. It's a pipeline for private prisons. That was a bad moment. I mean, that's why we call you Nazis. That's why we call you fascists. But if you openly celebrate the violation of the Constitution like that, with no understanding that you're violating the Constitution, yeah, I think we get to call you that. I think that's the rules. Them's the rules. We didn't make them. You are ignorant. Americans first. Yeah, no, though. See, like, you're still doing it. You're still doing the thing that we're making fun of you for. You're saying your opinion. I'm citing the law. And you're like, you ignorant fuck. Follow my opinion and not the law. Change the law then. If you want that to be the law, change the law. How come Republicans haven't changed any of those laws? Oh, you guys care when I call you Nazis. You care a whole bit. You care right now. Nobody even cares, brother. Then why are you talking about it? If you don't care, why'd you just bring it up? Yeah, the Nazis for sure were socialist on the hard left, for sure. That's for sure. That's why the American Nazis were so far left. The sworn enemy of the Nazis were the socialists and the communists. Can you explain that to me? I don't know if you guys know much about World War II, but can you explain to me why, if the Nazis were socialist and far left, why in like all of Hitler's speeches he talked about the enemy of Germany being the socialists and the communists? Could you explain? So was he the enemy of Germany? And then did he just start killing his own people when they started killing socialists and communists and jailing them? Were those his people then? Could you just explain that? Or are you still just one of those people who thinks because they were the Nationalist Socialist Party that they were actually socialists? Like, have you ever looked into World War II history? They were conservatives. They were literally the same. They were white nationalists. They were just what you are, and they pretended that they weren't, just like you pretend that you're not. Someone in the chat's gonna be like, oh, "I'm not white. You don't know anything." Got it. We know. Somebody's gonna be an immigrant here. I'm an immigrant, and I support ICE. We've seen it, folks. Seen it all a million times. Just a reminder, we are crowd-funded here, and if you really want to piss off these Republicans in the chat, especially YouTube, don't be afraid to dedicate any donations to them. I'll read it. Damn near anything that you write. Did I get all those? I think I did. Okay. Let's look at this. This was the best one I could find.
Our Washington correspondent Stephanie.
This is from Scripps News. I actually don't know who they are. Does anybody know who Scripps News is? Never seen them before. Looks like it's a legitimate cable news program, but there were a lot of fact checks and they took a long time. This one's only 5 minutes. But let's do just a quick fact check and then we'll get to the reaction from Republicans and Democrats.
Lieberman, inside a nice, comfortable studio tonight, watching tonight's speech, and she's got some context to add to some of the president's remarks. Hey, Steph.
Hey, Del and Allison. Allison, I know you've mentioned a couple times the cost of goods, the president laying out saying that he decreased the cost of beef, of eggs, of chicken. And grocery prices have gone down on some items and up on some others. So eggs are notably the item that has decreased the most, but that's not necessarily because it's something that President Trump is immediately responsible for. Farmers across the country were recovering from the avian flu and rebuilding up their stocks and helping build back from the shortage of eggs that we were dealing with when the president took office a year ago. But other butter down 50 cents, bread down about 9 cents. And these are numbers that are tracked by the St. Louis Federal Reserve. So these are, government numbers that are regularly updated on a monthly basis. But a number of things are up. Beef prices, for example, up about $1.20 from where they were when the president took office.
No, they're down. He just told us. She's lying. He said they were down.
One of the largest rises. And we also talked a bit about gas prices. That's something that a lot of us deal with on a, sometimes weekly basis, putting gas in our cars. And the president, has a few different times, not only in his speech tonight, but earlier has said that, trying to say that gas prices are below $2 in some places.
That's a fair question. It does look like a 90s news broadcast.
Well, we can't check the gas price of all the thousands of gas stations all across the country. There might be one somewhere who has their gas prices below $2. But when you look at the averages, they are not that close to being below $2 a gallon. The average gas price in the United States today is $2.91, closer to $3 a gallon. The state with the lowest typically gas price per gallon, that's in Oklahoma. They've got $2.30.
I just want to point out that everybody, the Republicans in the chat that argue this, they're citing that the gas prices went down. And this fact check isn't that the prices aren't lower than they were before. The fact check is that Donald Trump always lies about the number. And this is why nobody takes you seriously, because Trump lies to your face and then you justify him lying to your face by citing accurate numbers. Why doesn't he just cite accurate numbers? Have you thought about that? You have to fact check him. If he cites numbers that are wrong, you want us to just shut up. Don't fact check him. You're doing it right here in the chat. You guys are actually fact checking him. You just don't care that he lied. Have some self-respect. Stop letting yourselves be lied to.
7 today. There are only 11 states right now who have gas below $2.60. So the president touting that he's seen gas prices at $1.89 or $1.99.
Charles said, here's my Antifa dues. And did you see Troy Nels? I didn't.
Whatever price he said tonight, that certainly would be a rarity to find that in the United States today. And another big economic one we've heard the president mention a few different times, trying to bring down the cost of energy prices. That is not the case for Americans who are paying for their heating bills right now in the winter. The
my gas prices where I'm at are still well over $3. I live in Arizona, which is one of the most expensive states for gas in the country always. So when you guys are getting cheap gas, I never do. If you live in a red state, chances are your gas prices are lower.
Because nobody wants to live in your fucking state.
And so there's not that many people, and the demand is lower, and so your prices are lower. That's why your houses are cheaper, just because nobody wants to live there. More people want to live in bigger cities, better states, and so that's what happens. When you look at California, you're like, what happened in California? Well, there's a lot of people there. That's what happened in California. In Arizona, we have this weird thing too. I can't even remember how they explain it, but the way we have to import all of our gas is something to do with our climate. We're just always more expensive. It sucks. I think I paid $3.32 or something the other day.
Energy Assistant Directors Association, they track this. They have found that the cost of heating our homes this winter across the board is going to be more expensive regardless of what type of heat you have at home, whether you use natural gas, whether you use propane, or whether you use electric. Dylan Allison.
Stephanie, give us a fact check on healthcare costs, because the president tonight touted his efforts to lower prescription.
Proximity also matters too. So if you go up anywhere on the Pacific, the Pacific Northwest, you're going to have high gas prices. Why? Because nobody's drilling there. If you go down into the Gulf states, and Florida gets a benefit from this, and so does Texas, like they're drilling right there. And so they can be in like high population states, and they can keep their prices a little bit lower as well. And California's prices also have they have their gas tax, which raises it as well. But again, it's just supply and demand. Gas is supply and demand. It's not like blue state versus red state. It's basic supply and demand, and then also like the cost to get gas there. States that have more regulation on clean air are going to have more expensive gas as well. It takes the refining process a little bit more, so gas is more expensive. There's a lot of things that can lead to more expensive gas, and I'd like you can point to blue states and say it's more expensive, but also the air is cleaner, so that's kind of your trade-off.
So let's play this again to recap.
Under my just enacted most favored nation agreements, Americans who have for decades paid by far the highest prices of any nation anywhere in the world for prescription drugs will now pay the lowest price anywhere in the world for drugs. Anywhere. The lowest price.
Is that true, Stephanie?
Yeah, California pollutes less. There's more people in California, so the air is dirty, like in Los Angeles. But yeah, if they didn't have the standards that they do have, the air would be significantly worse. Again, like you're in Tuscaloosa, and you're like, oh, the air's cleaner here in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, nobody lives there, man. There's not that many people there. And L.A., if you've ever been to L.A. or if you've ever been to San Diego, if you've ever been to Utah, like I grew up in Utah, you have something called inversion. And you have, if you drive into LA, like it's a downhill drive. If you're coming, like I go from Arizona to LA all the time, and you go up over mountains, and then it's just downhill into LA. So you have this mountain on one side, and you have all this polluted air, and there's just a pocket, and it just sits. It doesn't go anywhere. And if you get like a good wind coming through, then it'll change. It'll move out that inversion. But I grew up in Utah, where it's very heavily populated now. But even when we weren't, you get this inversion, especially in the winter when you don't have much wind, and you would just see like we had. You could go up on hikes when the mountains weren't snow covered, and you can get above the inversion, and it's just this blanket covering the whole valley. And so that matters too. There's a lot of reasons why you're gonna have dirty air, but again, California knows who they are. They want cleaner air, and so they put regulations there.
Well, I certainly think that we would all love to pay the lowest price anywhere in the world, but I don't think that's what most of us are experiencing when we go to the pharmacy right now. The president has been really vocal about his efforts to bring down prescription drug prices, but it's worth remembering that a lot of this ties back to Medicare and
on this claim. That's just unequivocally untrue. We are still the highest priced. We still have the highest priced pharmaceuticals. And I checked before we went live. Pharmaceuticals went up on average between 4 and 5%. It's like 4.4% or something like that last year. The price of pharmaceuticals went up. We do not have the lowest prices. We have the highest prices, and they went up. Your willingness to have Donald Trump scream at you that we're going to have the lowest prices in the world, or we're going to, that's just, there's no scenario where that happens.
Medicaid negotiating specific drug prices, and there have been 3 different rounds of drug price negotiations, but all of those were made possible, that first round made possible by the Inflation Reduction Act that was signed by President Joe Biden. That is what allowed Medicare and Medicaid to start negotiating those prices. But there's no guarantee that those lower prices that the government will pay for prescription rates are going to be translated to all the rest of us who maybe get their insurance off of the marketplace, or maybe get your insurance through a private employer. In theory,
pass along. I don't know how you've gotten everything wrong. Hitler nationalized everything. That makes him a socialist. Again, you don't know history. Hitler privatized previously nationalized industries. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. His move was actually to privatize nationalized industries. He privatized state-owned banks and railways. You can just look this shit up. You don't have to be wrong always. He did the opposite. He hated the socialists. He blamed the socialists for losing World War I. He said that the Germans would have won World War I and been the world power if not for the socialists agreeing to a ceasefire. You have no fucking clue about world history, specifically 1930s German history.
The hope is that when Medicare bring those prices down, that those prices then trickle out to the rest of the market, but there's no guarantee that that happens. And then the president also talks a lot about the new Trump RX prescription website. It doesn't sell any prescriptions, but it's more like a marketplace where you can kind of shop around and check prices. But there's only 43 drugs that are listed on Trump RX right now. And I did some spot checking earlier, and some of the prices that, mind you, they are drastically lower than the market price, the retail price, if you will, for a lot of these brand name prescriptions. But the discount that is offered on Trump RX is sometimes identical to the discount.
You can't anymore, Jane. Too much fact checking for you. This is too moronic. They're saying that Trump is wrong. I have to leave. I'm uncomfortable.
That's offered on Good RX, a website and an app that's been available since 2011 and is free to anyone to kind of price check your prescription. So our prescription price is going to come down for some really popular drugs. The GLP-1 is something that people talk about a lot. Diabetes drugs among those that are going to save the country, save Americans a lot of money. Sure, those prices are coming down. How much of that is 100% attributable to President Trump? I don't think nearly as much as he would like to say.
All right.
Stephanie.
Was he just going to mention Good RX? Or you were just going to mention Good RX? Yeah, dude, he has done nothing, and he just takes credit for everything. Let's get to some of the reaction here. This was Mike Lee, whose Twitter username is based Mike Lee. I'm from Utah. There's nothing based about a white nationalist Mormon, but he posted this video of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and said, "I've never seen Republicans behave like this during a Democrat State of the Union. I've been doing this for 16 years, and the mainstream media says nothing." Here's what he's very upset about. This has never happened before.
Removal of criminal aliens, in many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country. They're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, nothing. Thank God nothing like that ever happened. Moving on. What's this? I don't remember. I forgot what I labeled this, but thank God nobody ever yelled at the Democrat presidents when Mike Lee was there.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals?
Yeah, thank God that never happened. But that was probably the only time that ever happened. We didn't have like Representative Van Orden yell ever. Pretty
was
sure.
Interrupted several times during last night's State of the Union speech. One of those interruptions came from a Wisconsin congressman. The moment came as Biden talked about former President Trump.
Basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable.
That was Van Orden yelling, "You lies." They didn't do that. And of course, that never happened to Obama either.
There are also those who claim that our reform efforts would ensure illegal immigrants. This too is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply.
Gunslinger, yeah, you're making an argument that Mike Lee's not making. They all said different things. Mike Lee said, "I've never seen Republicans behave like this." Not, "I've never heard Republicans say the exact same thing."
To those who are here illegal. It's not true. And one more.
And by the way, she called the president a murderer after he called Democrats murderers. So if you're going to be mad at her, you have to also be mad at Trump. If it's wrong to call somebody a murderer, Trump is wrong too, right?
Misunderstanding I want to clear up.
All right. So thank God that never happened. Thanks, Mike Lee. Appreciate it. Here is Byron Donalds, who is going to be the next governor of Florida, most likely. Although there's some interesting new polling that shows the Democrat is within the margin of error. I would be absolutely shocked. The one thing about Florida is that of all the states, their polling is consistently off. Republicans always outperform the polls there. You can make some claims about their elections if you want. There's probably some valid concerns there about their elections, but when I see a Democrat polling closely to a Republican in Florida for like a statewide race, like Senate or governor, I'm usually not going to believe that. But here's Byron Donalds, and congratulations, Florida. You're going to get, you've chosen, like, Ron DeSantis is too intellectual for us. We're going to go to Byron Donalds. congratulations. This is what you're getting.
Joe Biden, we all know that was a terrible economy for everybody. Everybody was suffering in America.
You brought up
We all know
GDP growth. Inflation was higher, but GDP growth was also higher during the Biden administration than certainly it was last quarter. And
I missed the first part where he said GDP growth, but
the average of year to year. But Congressman, I do.
All right, let's fact check this. Let's look at GDP growth under the Biden administration. Now, this is we can scale this down, but we can go to 2021 to 2024. Let's expand that out there. There we go. All right, you can see here. This is Trump went up, and we went backwards. We went backwards under Trump there a little bit, and then obviously a huge crash in 2020 due to COVID. And then you saw as we opened up after COVID, you saw massive GDP growth, and then it corrected to normal, and then 2.5, 2.9, 2.8. It's not negative GDP growth. So he's wrong. And watch, instead of admitting that he's wrong, watch him just immediately move the goalpost.
I do want to ask you
that's
about
not true, but okay.
GDP growth. You can go check GDP growth. I mean, you can say what you want about inflation, but the GDP is what the GDP was. GDP growth last quarter was 1.4%.
John, here's what I will tell you. Under
All right, here's what I'm going to tell you about that GDP growth claim I just made.
Joe Biden's economy, wages adjusted for inflation were down in America. I mean, families were falling behind left and right. 13 months with Donald Trump back on the job, wages adjusted for inflation are up.
All right, let's look at real wages adjusted for inflation. Let's see if you got that. What the fuck? Hold on just a second. There we go. That was weird. Gave me an error. Look at real wages adjusted for inflation here. Here's Biden. This is median usual weekly real earnings, wage and salary workers 16 years and over. So you have obviously you had some growth here during the Trump administration, kind of dipped and then it went up, and then during COVID it skyrocketed, which was kind of a weird thing that happened during COVID. And then this is still Trump. And here is Biden. So Biden inherits wages that are slipping, and we go this quarter one, quarter two, quarter three. That's growth. If you're going to say that you're going to take this number here, which is quarter one, 371, you finished off higher at 376. But if you're going to play this game, then you have to give Trump this huge dip here too, right? This has to be Trump if you're going to play that game. How is he always wrong? They just lie. They have no problem lying to you. And for somebody like Byron Donalds and a lot of these people, they don't honestly know. They just have staffers who hand them papers and they just regurgitate it. That's the biggest problem that we have in this country, is that Republicans don't actually know what any of these numbers are. They just go out and lie. They're handed a piece of paper. They're told go out and repeat this, and they do it, and they never fact check it. Sucks to be a liberal when we can do math. Yeah, it's tough.
All I was saying was GDP growth, what you said was higher under Trump than Biden. That's actually not true. But I want to ask you about the tariff revenue right now.
All right,
All right. Amber said they should look at states with the highest disposable income. Yes, prices are higher in Washington, California, and New York, but we have more left over after paying for everything to live. Let's look at that. I've never seen a chart with that. Which states? Let's see. Well, but that wouldn't be wages, right? Wages don't account for unemployment. So the states with the most disposable income: Washington, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Wyoming. Wyoming makes sense. Cheap to live there. A lot of really good paying jobs if you're in the oil industry. That actually makes a lot of sense. My sister used to live in Wyoming, and it was really cheap for them to live there. Had a beautiful house. All right, got that. Moving on to here. How much time do we have left? About an hour and 45 minutes left. I haven't updated the gift goal. We're about halfway there, but if you guys, maybe we do a dollar train, knock out that gift goal, see if we can knock that in half in the next 20 minutes, and then in the last hour we don't have to stress about it. That'd be awesome. And I'll try and cruise through the rest of the State of the Union stuff. But Pam Bondi then went on to Ainsley Earhart, and isn't that's Sean Hannity's girlfriend, I believe, and I don't think Pam Bondi knows how anything works. Listen to her explanation for one, numbers that don't exist, but like trying to link how she tries to link things to economic data. There's a reason why when asked about the Epstein files, she said the Dow's over 50K. She has no clue.
These are the kinds of things they want to say he's racist. He really just loves Americans and is trying to protect families.
Oh.
Ainsley, as you know, he loves America. President Trump has made America safe again, and that's what he's doing. And in turn, that makes Americans feel safe to go to work, to have jobs, to be able to go to church, to be able to function in our country.
Nobody could go to their jobs. That was the crazy thing. Everyone was just staying home. We were so unsafe. Trump inherited record low crime, but everybody was afraid to go to work before Donald Trump came around. This is Kim Jong-un shit.
Country and be safe. And that's what's driving our economy. Donald Trump making
No, it's not. What's driving our economy right now is mostly billionaires sucking all the money out of the economy. And so our economy looks shitty, but the stocks are high.
America safe. And that's why our economy is at a record high. We all know that, and it's safe. And, you know, we also...
Well, I don't even know what that... Economy is at a record high. I have no idea what that means. By no measure is the economy at a record high, unless you're saying the stock market, which every president presides over the record high of the stock market. It's like Donald Trump being like, I'm the president who's presided over the highest year. It's 2026. Yeah, no shit. That was that's what happens. Literally every president since the stock market was invented presided over the record high in the stock market.
Andy Wolf, and I've gotten to be very close with his mom, Melody. And you know something else, Ainsley, you'll appreciate this, what President Trump said, what's very different. We are a praying administration.
I love
and
that.
We all are. Our cabinet...
Guys, it's okay that we're covering up the Epstein files because we pray. This is the shit that, let me just tell you something, everybody out there. Anybody who talks about their religion in every conversation is trying to hide something from you. They're trying to convince you that they are something that they're not, and they're like, oh, my religion makes me a good person. I had a great conversation with a friend yesterday about somebody that used to be in their, an ex of theirs that we were talking about religion because they asked like I was just like, no, I'm an atheist. I'm obviously don't believe in God, but I don't really care. Like if somebody believes in God and they're religious and their religion forces them or makes them think about others and to have like empathy and help the needy, then that's great. That's wonderful. If you like astrology and it makes you a better person, you appreciate the world around you, so you take a better care. All that stuff's great. Like we all have stuff that we believe in that you maybe can't prove. I'm fine with that. But if you use your religion as a weapon, if you use your religion as a way to obfuscate from what's happening, or to try and get somebody to view you differently, then I have a problem with it. And you should be aware of people that do that. If you have somebody that says a lot of hateful things, but then also is like, I love God. I have a friend, not a friend, a person that I'm forced to be around from time to time that does this, like always wears the cross. Most racist person ever, and I have no choice but to be around them, which sucks. But like a mutual friend that we have got in a car wreck the other day, and I was just like to a group. It's a golf friend. I'll just tell you. It was he got in a car wreck, couldn't make it to golf, and then when we were done, I was like, hey, anybody check on him? Is he all right? And they're like, yeah, he's fine, but of course it was a fucking Mexican. It's like, all right. And then like 5 minutes later, he's talking about how like atheists are ruining this country. If that type of person is just like, they're a shit person, but then they want you to ignore their shit by saying like, oh, I believe in God. And that's what Pam Bondi's doing here. She's one of the most disgusting human beings ever is the most disgusting human being to occupy this particular office, where she can't look survivors of Epstein in the eye. She won't meet with them. She won't investigate she won't open any investigations. The rest of the world's doing it. And then she's like, but we pray. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares if you pray? If you're a shitty person, talking about prayers doesn't make a goddamn difference. But this is for the Fox audience who are also pieces of shit. And they're like, don't worry, guys. You can be racist. You can be bigoted. You can not care about victims of heinous crimes as long as you pray. That's the most important thing.
Prayed.
Hush, little boy, suck my balls. And somebody get RSMAR Corp a little mute there. Okay? We're going to do that. Sorry I upset you.
He's saying what I do. I'm a good person. How come he's saying what I do makes me a bad person?
Before we went out there last night, we prayed for the president, we prayed for Congress, we prayed for the country.
Oh, yes. Let's do this. We haven't done this for a while. Pat Yeager, you have 2 minutes to tell me what I lied about. I need you to tell me what the lie was, and I've done that. You get muted all the time. Every day you come in here and you tell me I lie, and every day I say, tell me what I lied about. And Pat Yeager is going to share his opinion, and then he's going to get muted because I have not told a single lie today.
Because of Donald Trump. And that's what's making America safe. And
divisive Democrats. Oh, sorry.
They always point out our bigotry. Why do they do that? They're so divisive.
Let's look at some exit polls from last night. Did not go well. Cue everybody in the chat going, oh, CNN. A fun fact about CNN's polling last night, they know that historically, when you people that watch the State of the Union, a lot of people who didn't vote for the person who's president don't watch the State of the Union because we're pretty divided. And so in all of their polling from CNN last night, they oversampled Republicans at plus 13. So all this polling includes an built-in bias for Republicans. So just remember that before you say Communist News Network.
Yeah, well, I just want to take a moment here to explain. This is a poll of speech watchers, so it is not a poll that is reflective of the population overall. And what we know about people who tune in.
Pat Yeager said, you justify everything from eggs to gas to food. You're desperate. There's your mute, you dumb bitch. You said I lied. I asked you to tell me a lie, and you shared your feelings. Why did he do exactly what the fuck I said? Just shut the fuck up, man. Like, do that. That looks better. Don't let me predict your behavior and then you do the behavior. You got to be better than that. You leave or something. Be quiet for a while. I'll forget. I have ADHD. Wait 5 minutes and I'll forget that you did that. But I gave you an opportunity to show me a lie. I told everybody here exactly what you would do, and you just did it. You can't help yourself. You're programmed. You're just like, I'm going to do it. And then you just did it. So there's a 5-minute mute for you, and be better every day. This isn't the first time. I mean, we haven't been on YouTube for a while, but the last time we were on YouTube, I did this to you as well. You've got to get better than this, man. You getting your feelings hurt by what I'm saying doesn't make it a lie.
To State of the Union addresses, they tend to be fans of the president, whichever president is giving the speech. So the polling universe here is about 13 points more Republican than the overall population usually is. So just keep all that in mind as we go to the results.
Thank you,
of
Williams.
our
That
instant
keep
poll.
kicking ass.
Get this reaction from those that watched the speech tonight.
And
38%
Damien,
said
thanks for joining the Dollar Train.
they had a very positive reaction to the speech. 25% somewhat positive, 36% negative. So roughly 2/3 in the positive territory, 1/3 negative among speech watchers. How does that very positive number stack up against previous addresses?
Well, now here's the part. We got to look at some historic numbers. Is Trump popular or is he not? This guy Fox says Dow's been below 50K every day since she said that. It'd be sweet if we just figured out a way to keep it there.
Here, it's about 6 percentage points lower than Donald Trump was at with the very positive score last year. He was at 44% very positive reaction last year. This year, 38%, even though the universe of speech watchers was actually even a bit more Republican than it was last year. And we also took a look at that very positive speech reaction here compared to previous presidents in this midterm year. So in 2026, this year, tonight, 38% very positive reaction. Joe Biden 4 years ago, 41% very positive reaction. That was the year Democrats lost control of the House. You see Trump in 2018.
Now, 38 is lower than all of those other numbers. And this is people who have a positive reaction, very positive. So he's the least popular. Cool, huh?
Was at 48% very positive when his party lost control of the House in his first term. So you see here, again, Donald Trump is at the bottom of this. I think these polls, even by fans.
Hold on, real quick. Jane, why are you arguing with my mods here? By the way, Travel does have a job. She has a very good job. And you said you were leaving like an hour and a half ago. You already crashed out and said you were leaving. What the fuck are you still doing here? Do you need help? Travel can help you find the door if you need it. Don't threaten us with leaving and then stick around. We were all so excited to see you go.
The president, people who tuned in to watch tonight, and he gets a 2/3 overall positive reaction, I still think you're seeing his overall trouble in the polls these days, which is that he's at a low point, even compared to a year ago when he gave his speech to a joint session.
Let's bring. All right. So not great. Unless by, like, I guess the best. He's the best at being unpopular. Ryan said, for the train and the mutes, thank you. Sherry said, catching up on my Antifa dues. You're caught up now. Thank you. Michelle said, facts. Jesus Christ, who's this? Jane is. Good
Jane's
Lord.
a mess. She thought like she owned you. Well, something about that you being an atheist was her. Was her.
Oh no.
You can tell you're an atheist. Hey Jane, he doesn't believe in the tooth fairy either.
That's true. Do not believe in the tooth fairy, which is frustrating for my daughter.
So, I mean, since I'm here, I mean, if you guys want to come and actually have a conversation, if you think you can prove him wrong, you can actually do that. And how you do that is if you look at the Venmo username, that's my Discord. You can send me a message on Discord and I can bring you up and you can have a conversation.
This is the Jane crush out right here. Just getting all worked up. Sorry, Jane. But you said you were leaving. I wasn't paying attention because I thought you were leaving.
No, she's still here.
All right.
But so we you said what, like hour and 10 left?
A little more, maybe like an hour 20, yeah. Something like that.
Okay. So if we did a dollar chain, we could knock out the remaining balance of the gift goal. If you could help us out there, that'd be fantastic.
All right. Thank you, Jen. This was pretty cool. This is they had a panel. These are voters in swing states, and you have Van Jones and Scott Jennings here hosting this. But let me get to when they asked the questions. I just thought this was really enlightening. And as much as I don't really want to focus on State of the Union, this was really interesting to me to watch the voters and the disconnect. And I just want you to pay attention to, as we fact check this, how poorly informed MAGA is. And not necessarily because they're dumb, because I think some of these people come off as pretty intelligent. I think they probably read stuff. They're just not reading stuff that is verifiable.
Let's address.
Well, half of us were miserable, and the other half were delighted. And we're going to get a chance to hear from everybody. Look, I think the most important thing I can say is that people here who are not in Washington, D.C., who are on the ground, look at this stuff very, very differently. You did not like this speech at all. Tell me why.
I didn't like the speech because he did not talk about what he was doing to make our lives better. As Governor Spanberger said, is the president working to make our lives better? No. James Carville said, it's the economy. And it still is the economy. And he's not talking about that at all.
Wait, what about the Trump accounts? What about the tax cuts? Did that move you at all? Did that make you feel like he's on your side?
No. No, it did not.
Why not?
He talked about the health care plan. Where is his health care plan? People's health insurance premiums are going up. What is he doing for that?
He's taking you off auto pay. That's not exciting for you? That wasn't enough for you? Donald Trump's taking you off auto pay. That's not going to fix it?
What is he doing for our seniors?
Yeah, just left you flat. But
Erica, you are a Trump supporter. You liked the speech, and you had some positive things to say. What did you think?
Yep, I'm glad he addressed the tax breaks. I haven't done ours yet, but I know there will be a huge change with the children tax break, and my husband works a lot of overtime, so I'm excited to see what that does. I think no senior should pay Social Security taxes. And then I liked how, I wish he would have stayed more on Iran, because I was already wondering and trying not to worry about it, but kind of not paying attention. But it sounds like he said if they're not going to go to nuclear, we don't have to do the FA. Find out. We don't want to find out.
Yeah, he said his preference was diplomacy.
Right.
Yeah.
But he will find out if he has to.
Yeah.
well, I'm so curious about how you saw it.
By the way, you're still taxed on Social Security. That's a lie. They changed the tax code a little bit, and there's some breaks, but you're still taxed on Social Security. Again, This is how Donald Trump has been able to pull this off and get so many MAGA Republicans to misdirect their anger at us when we point out that he's lying. He says something like that. He says there's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. Of course, all of those things are lies. There were tax deductions, but you're still paying taxes on all of those things, at least up to you're paying the taxes and then you get a deduction. But a lot of people, the deduction's not going to match what they made in overtime. There was somebody here the other day that lied about how much they made and how much their deduction was. They said they got like $70,000 and it maxes out at $25,000 on overtime. So they were just lying about that. But again, like this is why it's really tricky to deal with MAGA. Trump lies, you correct the lie. And they're like, well, look, see, there is some tax break. Yeah, but we're not correcting that there wasn't some tax break. We're correcting that he keeps lying and saying that there's no tax on these things. And Republicans just blindly repeat that. They do it. It's been in this chat 1,000 times a day. No tax on overtime. No tax. That's not true. You get taxed on all of it, and then there is a deduction. And that deduction may or may not make up for the tax that you paid.
The thing that I missed the most was a focus on the economy and looking forward. And Supreme Court struck the tariffs down, and he's going for another round of tariffs. And I also think that's the wrong direction. Tariffs cost our company a lot of money. Our costs are up, and we need to control our costs. And, without, raising rates, we can't give raises to our employees. We can't help them. So I'm stuck in that kind of vicious cycle of raise the rates, prices go up, raise the rates. And, how do we continue that?
Jane says she can tell I'm an atheist by her being so judgmental and hateful. Oh, okay. Teresa, keep telling the truth. Thanks.
He didn't help you at all on the tariff stuff at all. But you said that you enjoyed this speech and that there were moments that moved you. What moved you about this speech?
Well, the celebrating people is always good. But again, that $18 trillion investment, the $25 million.
That's a made up number. I will literally send anybody $100 if you can find me a source. Mods, look for this. If you can show me the source that can verify $18 trillion in investment, I will personally send you $100. That is a made up number. There's no evidence of $18 trillion of investment. That's just made up.
In Trump accounts, but I did hear something on the health care, right? We have a law, the Obamacare, the ACA, and we don't have a...
That's not true. I do have $100. Your dad paid me $150 to stare at my butthole last night, so I'm flush with cash.
We don't have a way around it, and it's really just pooled care that's gone up every year. And this most favored nation, he's taken a stab at lowering the costs for us.
No, he's not. He didn't do anything. He just says that, and the prices went up. We did favored nation, and the prices went up on average 4 to 5%.
And unless the legislature acts, he's at least doing something that's going to hit our pocketbook.
I think the part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. It gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, Van, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads, that Democrats wouldn't stand up.
Well done, Ted Links. You can deduct up to $25,000 of qualified tip income per tax return from your federal taxable income. That's if you're filing jointly. If you file singly, it's singularly, it's half that, Ted Links. So it's $12,500 if you are a single filer, but if you file jointly, it's up to $25,000. But good job.
What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, I think that and it may have gotten a little muddled, but, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job? He should, the governor asked, is Trump doing his job? Trump asked, are all of you doing your job?
But don't you think it was just kind of a cheap...
Huh? That's not what Trump asked. Again, Trump is so remarkably stupid and incoherent in how he delivers his message that it requires interpretation. And everybody just interprets what he says however they want. He didn't say any of that. None of that is what Trump said. What the fuck did this guy watch? The confidence of a middle-aged white man in America, Republican white man. Here's what he really said. He didn't say any of that. None of that is a thing that Donald Trump said.
Stunt. I mean, to just, you're somebody who's been in politics for a long time. To me, it seemed like a stunt. No matter what Trump told Democrats, stand up if I say anything. If he said stand up if you like puppies, they would have said we like kittens. I mean, there's no way they were going to stand up. So to me, he was just trying to make Democrats look bad. But should they have stood up, Pastor?
The role should be to unify the country. And I think this was the opportunity for us to come together as one. We're not a state.
Yeah, he wanted to unify us on subverting the Constitution, though. And the Democrats did a good job in not standing up and saying, fuck the Constitution. Well done, Democrats.
Red or blue states, but we're the United States. And this was
Would you have stood up? If you were a Democrat and Donald Trump said, stand up if you are against illegal immigrants, whatever he said, would you have stood up?
I would have respected our country, and I would have stood to my standards. And I would have stayed to my who I know who I am.
So would you have stood? Would you have stood up? He's learning from Republican politicians. Answer the question you want to answer, and not the one they asked.
And left it at that.
He should be a politician. He's a better politician than me.
Wait a minute. All right. We have a minute left here. We're in Michigan.
Yeah.
We are in Michigan. We can see Canada from here, almost.
Kind of.
Did everybody love the hockey team? Yes, this unified America. We took their sport.
That's Scott Jennings. Yeah, but the hockey team was there. These don't sound like glowing endorsements of Trump from his side here. Not glowing endorsement. This guy is the only one that seems super happy, and he just made shit up. Robin said, road tripping with my son, who is a new fan. Hi, Robin's son. Robin's son. Nice. Welcome. Sorry for the bad words. I'll try and do less bad words. I just talked about showing my butthole to somebody's dad. Sorry, dude. It's my bad.
We took their gold medal. Jack Hughes,
took 2 gold medals.
our guy. He took their hot chicks. He's dating one of their hot chicks right now. It's amazing.
Jack Hughes is from
I
Michigan.
know. That's what I'm saying.
We took 2 gold medals. The women won 2.
And the president acknowledged.
It's also weird that a man of his age is talking about a very young 20-year-old and his girlfriend and how hot she is. Pretty par for the course for Republicans, though.
The women, and he said they're coming to the White House, which I thought was a great thing.
Hey,
so here in Michigan, Anderson, I have to say, I think the hockey moment was unifying, probably in this.
I made $400 last payday. Got it all. You're wrong. It's my brother in Christ. If you made $400 on your last payday, and you got all of that, I believe you are evading taxes. Maybe your state doesn't have an income tax. Like, certainly there's municipal taxes. There's Social Security, Medicare. If you are getting all of the money that you earned, I believe that something illegal is happening with your workplace. You could file exempt, but you still have to pay Social Security and Medicare. So I think you might be lying. Nobody ever gets a paycheck and gets every dollar. That doesn't make any sense. So thank you, though, for giving me some of your $400 to tell me that.
Particular area more than anywhere else in the country, everybody, Republicans, Democrats, even Van, even poor Van, on a miserable night said, the
400 in overtime, dumb. Yeah, but still, like, even if it's 400 in overtime, you get taxed on it. It's a deduction on the no tax on overtime is a deduction. So you still get taxed, and at the end of the year when you do your taxes, you can deduct that from your owed taxes. You're not tax exempt. So if you didn't get taxed on that, it has nothing to do with the one big beautiful bill. Something else is going on, but your taxes still get taken out, and then you have a deduction. You're lying, and your Republican friends who don't know what the fuck they're talking about are like calling me dumb for it.
American hockey team is a great thing. So. Admit it. Good thing.
That was a good thing, though. I will say they keep messing with these Canadians and it's messing up y'all's economy. No tourists are coming down here, so let's be nice, be a little bit nicer to the Canadians. But I'm glad.
Oh, the point is I'm the dummy. Oh, because I got it right. The point is, even though you corrected it and you know what you're talking about, my overall point was it's actually you who's dumb. That's MAGA in a nutshell, isn't it? Yeah, you have the answer. But that makes me think you're actually more dumb. Why don't you just speak your opinions, not look anything up like we do?
All right, Anderson.
You know, it's
I do know what a 1099 is, but a 1090 you can't get fucking overtime with the 1099 because you're an independent contractor. There is no overtime. I've been 1099 most of my life. I'm self-employed. I don't get overtime because it's a 1099. So that wouldn't make sense either, would it? You don't get overtime for 1099. He does. MAGA jumps in. He doesn't know what a 1099 is. I have been a 1099 contractor almost my entire life. I had 2 jobs before I was like 25, where I was like a hourly employee, and then the rest of my life I've been a 1099, and I've had an LLC and an S corp ever since then. I've been a 1099 contractor my entire life. You can't pay yourself overtime. If you're 1099, you are self-employed. You don't pay employment tax. There's no overtime. It's just that's income. You can work 100 hours a week. There's no overtime because you are self-employed. Overtime is a requirement placed on employers that if they are going to make people work past the 40-hour work week, they have to pay them more. But if you work for yourself, there is no such thing as overtime. Please keep trying to dunk on me, please. And these aren't even hard. These aren't even like hard ones. This is just like basic stuff that everybody should know. But please keep making yourself look dumb. I love it too. The MAGA in the chat jumping. Yeah, this guy's dumb. Jesus fucking Christ. Read something ever.
What we got out here in Michigan. We got a lot of opinions out here.
It's nice to see the heated rivalry between you guys. You can watch it later, Scott. You'll see it. My panel is all
right.
My panel.
You'll match that 100? Yeah, it's not coming. It's never going to show up. They don't have an answer for that. All right. I think that's it for that. I have Spanberger and stuff. I want to get on to some other stuff. Yeah, I want to play these 2 things, and we'll get into some Epstein stuff, and then that'll probably wrap it up. But I want to play this first. This is from Thomas Massie. This was a great speech. This was a great speech on the House floor. Thomas Massie did 2 things I really liked yesterday. This speech, and he also called out actual names of people who were listed as co-conspirators in the Epstein files, and we'll get to that later. But this was awesome. And we need every politician in the country should talk exactly like this. Everybody should have a problem with what he has a problem with here. And we're in this weird situation where we have the most obviously bought and paid for and corrupt administration in history. And since MAGA, the Republican Party no longer exists, and it's just MAGA, and it's just worship Trump. And so by proxy, anybody who works underneath Trump, you can't criticize unless he fires them, then you can criticize them. So pointing out that they are corrupt and pointing out the corruption of Big Pharma, paying Trump's administration to write new laws for them, MAGA gets stuck in this really uncomfortable position. And if you guys weren't here the last couple of days, we talked about Trump recently said that it is of national security concerns that we need to expand the use of glyphosate, which is one of the chemicals in Roundup, which has been shown to be carcinogenic. It's made people sick forever, and we have strict regulations on glyphosate. But these industries lobbied him and his administration to loosen those restrictions for two reasons. One, so they can make more money, but two, so that they will no longer be exposed to lawsuits because we've changed the law. And if the law allows for it, you can't really sue them if they're working inside the bounds of the law. So they wanted those regulations loosened so they can't be sued. And here's Thomas Massie pointing that out and showing exactly who in the Trump administration they're paying to get this done.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to let the American people know that this government is under siege. All three branches of this government is under siege by lobbyists and lawyers from a German company named Bayer.
Thank you. Adrian?
They spent over $9 million lobbying the executive branch and the legislative branch so that they don't have to be liable for any damages that their herbicide causes, otherwise known as Roundup. And they're having some success. Now, they haven't had any success yet in this chamber to get that immunity. They've had some success in the state legislatures, which are also under siege, to get this immunity from liability. Look, the Constitution guarantees people a trial if they've been harmed. Why are we contemplating going against the Constitution? The Attorney General has opined favorably for this German company in front of the Supreme Court about getting rid of any liability that they should have for any damages. And the most recent thing that we've seen, the executive branch. By the way, the president's chief of staff and the president's attorney general work for one of the biggest lobbying firms that's received hundreds of thousands.
No, not Bayer, B-E-H-R, Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R, lowly.
Millions of dollars from Bayer. And maybe that's why we've seen an executive order that says that the production of this chemical from this German company is a national defense priority. And we know why they're doing that. It's to keep them from having any liability. Everybody in
Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R.
This country deserves their day in court. This is wrong. We shouldn't succumb to the lobbyists, not in the executive branch, not in the judicial branch, and certainly not here in Congress.
And we showed the interview with I'm trying to remember his name, the guy that's running for who's the Republican front runner in Iowa for governor. If you guys have it, but drop it in the chat. But we showed his interview with Tucker Carlson the other day, where he's talking about this. And I looked it up later. Just last year, Bayer spent almost $300,000 lobbying in the state of Iowa to get those state laws changed too. And they're exclusively funding Republicans. Because you can't really, this is hard for you to do as a Democrat. Like if you're somebody who believes, as Democrats do in having a safer environment, then you're not going to allow pesticides. So you'd be absolutely crushed. There might be some local politicians in Iowa that I'm unaware of that have taken that money, but on a national scale, they target Republicans, and Republicans don't give a fuck. They don't believe in pesticides causing harm. They don't believe in climate change. They just believe in Jesus, and because Jesus is in control, why would we worry about what's on our food or in the skies? Because everything is just God's will anyways. And they take advantage of that. They use your own religion against you consistently. And they're paying off this administration, and that's all they needed to do. And here comes an executive order. Yeah, we'll just absolve you of any responsibility when you give people cancer. That's fine. Nobody's worried about that. Sully said down payment to stare at Jay's butthole. Thank you. Amber said just did taxes. It doesn't deduct from the amount you owe. It lowers your adjusted gross income, which may put you in a lower tax bracket. Right. I don't know if I said that wrong earlier, but yeah. It's just a standard deduction, or just a deduction from your income. So chances are you're not going to, like, even if it's $25,000 that you qualify for, that doesn't mean that you necessarily got $25,000. In fact, it's almost certain that you didn't get $25,000. Walter, thanks for joining the Dollar Train, my friend. Appreciate that. You're always very kind. Dude, shut up and just play Massie. I'd rather listen to him. Oh, Chowder Thickness. All right, Chowder Thickness. We have a rule here, and now the whole chat's going to be mad at you. When I'm playing videos, I add commentary because that's what I do. And every day, an angry Republican tells me to shut up and just play the video, which you can do on your own by going on the internet and finding the video. So if you don't like the commentary, you can leave. But as a collective punishment for the group. When I use my high school basketball coach, whenever somebody fucked up, we all had to run. You know, if I turned the ball over, the whole team had to get on the baseline and we had to run a ladder. So this is collective punishment. This is how we do it here. And you now have 20 seconds of uncomfortable silence. And this is, again, for, let me get the name right here, Chowder Thickness 2127. Enjoy your 20 seconds of uncomfortable silence. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that. 5'4". I'm 5'10". Fuck you. I did play basketball. I was as my co-host used to say, I was a college athlete. Doesn't that suck? I like it. I do. I don't really give a fuck about that. I don't think being an athlete means a goddamn thing when you're 40 now, which, you know, I'm 40. It doesn't mean a fucking thing. But I do like that it makes conservatives mad. I really, really like that it makes conservatives mad. And if you know my name, which I don't usually give out because doxing, but if you know my name, you can search my name and you'll find out I have an extensive athletic record from when I was younger. So sorry about that. Sorry, this soy boy was good at sports. I apologize. And I know that makes some of you uncomfortable, but you can beat off to it later if you want. Jerry Mandarin said German company Bayer is getting preferred treatment against American citizens. But I thought America first. Yeah, I thought so too. Thank you, Loli, very much. All right, moving on here. Last one. This is Carol Lenig, who I just huge fan of Carol Lenig. W in the chat for Carol Lenig. Going over a new whistleblower. So when we were talking about the FBI the other day, I think it was yesterday, a lot of people in the chat are like, when are we ever going to get an FBI whistleblower? Well, I think we're going to start getting a bunch of FBI whistleblowers, especially as we get closer to the midterms. If it looks like, and it looks like it's almost certain that Democrats will win back the House, you're going to, as soon as that happens, here comes the whistleblowers. But you're starting to get some come out of the woodworks. Now, here is a whistleblower against Kash Patel and his use of a private jet and how that has caused mission readiness, as Pete Hegseth loves to talk about, to be diminished.
A whistleblower has reported to the Senate
I was the fastest in my city in the 100-meter dash when I was 12. Good for you.
Judiciary Committee Democratic ranking member Dick Durbin that FBI Director Kash Patel's use of his jet, the government jet, the FBI jet, has harmed actual investigations. Katie, I want to separate one thing, which is to say one of the allegations here is something that we at MS Now, my colleague Ken Delanian and I, have been reporting on for a while, working on this behind the scenes, and then the whistleblower comes forward to Congress and basically affirms a lot of our reporting, although there are new details here. The whistleblower says that in December of 2025, when there was a mass shooting at Brown University, Kash Patel was on his government FBI director jet in Florida, we are told, and that there was only one other available jet. But Patel had ordered it to be put on standby for another team. And that meant that during this mass shooting, an evidence review team based in the Washington, Virginia area that would normally immediately respond to a major crisis, a major crime scene like this, was delayed. They could not use the plane. And instead, they drove through the night of the 13th and the early morning of the 14th to get to Providence, Rhode Island from Virginia. They happened to also drive through a snowstorm to get there, but they were significantly delayed, according to this whistleblower's account. And by the way, also according to multiple sources that spoke to Ken and to me.
What was that question? Who did Obama send to the Olympics? He sent Janet Napolitano and the U.S. ambassador, which makes sense. The FBI director is not Donald Trump's staff. He's law enforcement. He's supposed to be here. He's not a diplomat. He's not meant to be used as a political figure. He's supposed to keep people safe. And when he takes that plane, we have less resources on the ground for the FBI. While he was gone, if you remember correctly, somebody tried to break into Mar-a-Lago with a shotgun and a can of gas. No, they didn't wind up needing him. I mean, what's Kash Patel going to do? Hide in grass that's this tall so nobody sees him? I don't know. But like, he takes up resources to go on these trips. The FBI director doesn't do that. You guys have to be a little bit honest at some point. You don't have to be upset about it. But to say that there's any reason for the FBI director to be at the Olympics representing the country, that's silly. Of course not. Why? That's not his role at all. There's no scenario where he's meant to be a diplomat. Anyways. Watch for more of those whistleblowers to come out. I don't think they like him very much because he's unqualified and he uses all their resources, and he's fucking dumb, and he keeps making the FBI look bad. So I think the whistleblowers will be coming out soon. Melissa said, my dad forgot to pay for his brown eye blink match. He just said, my daughter played 2 years of D1 softball. That's no joke. Hard to hit. And then, I know I missed one here. Guy said, arrest Elon, he will sing. That's DNC Warrior, thank you. He would. Elon would fold in a heartbeat. Absolutely, he would fold. All right, let's get into this last part. We got about 40 minutes left. Sweet. Sweet. I knew I had this timing right. Okay. I want to just remind you of something about Donald Trump. A couple of things. Number one, Donald Trump has historically had no problem talking about young children in sexual ways. He's talked about his own daughter in very explicit sexual ways. He joked with somebody's dad that his 10-year-old daughter would be dating him in 10 years, which is, if somebody said that to me about my daughter, I would slap them open-handedly in the nuts. Don't be a fucking creep. Don't talk about my child that way, you dirty fucker. He has bragged when he didn't know he was being recorded about just sexually assaulting women and saying because he's famous, he gets to do it. And then when he was in a deposition, he doubled down on it. Like, you remember he came out, that's literally the only thing he's ever apologized for. And he said it was just locker room talk. But then he had an opportunity in a deposition to again say that was locker room talk and I'm sorry. And instead, in that deposition, he defended it. He said, actually, historically, that's true. When you are a star, they let you do that. And then they said, are you a star? And he's like, yeah, I'm a star. So he was forced to apologize so he could try and win an election, but he's not sorry for it. He openly brags about sexually assaulting women. He's the only president in the history of our country who has been gone to court and been sued for sexual assault and had a grand jury approve of the evidence against him. And he said, oh, a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich, except for this administration can't get a grand jury to indict anybody. They couldn't get any of Trump's political enemies that he's trying to indict. They can't get grand juries to indict. And then a real jury of his peers found the evidence credible enough that he was held civilly liable for sexual abuse against E. Jean Carroll. His own wife has accused him of rape, and there are multiple accusations by children in the Epstein files of him abusing them as children. At least one of those people was found credible enough by the FBI to use her testimony against Ghislaine Maxwell, which secured a guilty verdict. So just remember that this isn't somebody who stepped out of line one time and didn't think about what they said and said something weird. This is a person who historically has been gross towards minors. Didn't mind, by the way. Remember, you guys think that he called the FBI and told them about Jeffrey Epstein, and then when it came out, it turns out it's just like a Miami Herald article that is unconfirmed. But that's what it actually says is that after they arrested Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump called them and said, "Good job, boys. We all knew what he was up to. You caught him." But then Donald Trump recently, when talking specifically about is it Virginia Giuffre that worked for him? Am I mixing that up? Anyways, he openly said he would send girls from Mar-a-Lago to Jeffrey Epstein's house. That he would send them out for house calls for massages. But then he also called the FBI and said we all knew what he was doing. So he was actively sending women to Jeffrey Epstein. And again, there are thousands of other accusations in the Epstein files, but I'm talking about the ones that we can confirm by Trump's own mouth. So by Trump's own mouth, he was sending young women to Jeffrey Epstein, knowing that he was a pedophile and that he was sexually assaulting them. And he would send women that worked for him, very young women that worked for him at Mar-a-Lago, and he would send them to house calls to Jeffrey Epstein while allegedly knowing that Jeffrey Epstein was a known abuser. The evidence against Donald Trump being an abuser is greater than any other politically connected person you can find in those Epstein files. It's more than Les Wexner. It's more than Alan Dershowitz. Nobody is accused of more outside of Jeffrey Epstein and maybe Prince Andrew than Donald Trump. And we know that a lot of these accusations are true because Donald Trump has confirmed a lot of these accusations. And if you go and you read the accounts of women, now the Access Hollywood tape came out in 2016. Nobody knew that existed. Nobody knew that there was a tape of Donald Trump saying, you know what, I can't help it. I see a beautiful woman. I just walk up, I start kissing her. You can do anything you want. Grab him by the, I don't think I can say that on TikTok since we're live there, but you know what he said. He said, I can't help it. But when you're a star, they let you do it. And then you go back and you look at all these accounts of women who accused him of sexual assault. And you know what every single account had in common? All of these accounts, by the way, all of these accusations happened long before the Access Hollywood tape. Every single one of them is exactly the same, which is fucking crazy if they're all lying and they all came up with the exact story that he admitted to on the Access Hollywood tape, which is they wound up alone with him, either in a dressing room or one case in his house at Mar-a-Lago while Melania was upstairs. And it was just the journalist that was writing the article. I think it was maybe for Vogue. I can't remember which magazine it was for. Every one of them, E. Jean Carroll, same thing. I was just alone with him. He pinned me against the wall. He started kissing me. He shoved his tongue down my throat and he started groping me. And he went where? Went right for what he bragged about doing. So there's like 13, I think it's like 13 women that have this exact accusation against Donald Trump before the Access Hollywood tape. And you still want us to be like, oh, I can't prove anything. Like, if that's not enough proof for you, nothing ever will be. A video could emerge and you would just be like, well, he's a Christian now. Yeah, that was years ago. He's not like that anymore. There is no amount of evidence that will ever convince you, or unfortunately people in this world, that like sexual assault should be taken seriously. But knowing all of that, I wanted to play this clip because, and this was put out by Brian Allen today, and it's old, but it's one that we don't talk about enough. And when we're talking about abusing children, I want you to listen to what he says here. And Howard Stern tries to save him. Howard Stern tries really, and he does like a good enough job that I don't think a lot of people have picked up on this clip. But listen to what Donald Trump says about how, like, the age of women that he thinks is appropriate for him to have sex with.
What is the best thing about being Donald Trump right now?
Well, other than the fact I'm married, okay?
Right.
And I'm very happily married. I have a great wife. But if I weren't married, I'd be able to get all of the girls I want, except for possibly Robin.
Do you think you could now be banging 24-year-olds?
Oh, absolutely. I have no trouble.
Would you do it?
I have no problem.
Yeah, do you have an age limit, or would you...
No.
Good question. Good question. Robin, do you have an age limit? Now, if you asked me what my age limit would be, I'm 40. I think going below 30 would be really uncomfortable. 30, like that can be kind of uncomfortable too. That's a big age difference. You can have a power dynamic there. I think that I would probably say something like, yeah, it's got to start with a 3. We can't be starting with 2s. It's got to start with a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6 or a 7 or an 8. You can go up as far as you want. Like we can go up there, but like I'm not going to go below 3. I'm certainly not going below 2. And Donald Trump at this point is older than I am. He's, I believe, in his 50s or early 60s at this point. So good question. But for any of you, whatever your number might be, it shouldn't be this. It shouldn't be this number.
No, I have no age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be like
upper bracket, yeah.
Foley with 12-year-olds.
Can I make a prediction?
Want to hear it again?
Would you?
No, I have no age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be
the
like
upper bracket, yeah.
Foley with 12-year-olds.
Can I make?
$18 would have been the legal answer, bud. 18. That would have been a better answer. Look, and I'm not trying to get in an argument on like what the age dynamics are. I was just giving you my personal opinion. Like that would be too low for me. But 12 would not be my fucking answer. I would not use the number 12. You know why? Because I know there's numbers between 12 and 18. So even if I was somebody who like didn't have a limit, which he said, like I don't really care about age. If I was him, I would have said 18. He said 12. Want to hear it again?
I have no problem.
Yeah, do you have an age limit or would you?
No, I have no age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be
the
like
upper bracket, yeah.
Foley with 12-year-olds.
Can I make a prediction for you?
And there's J-Sex coming in to defend and make up new words because this is what you guys all do with Donald Trump. He said he wouldn't be with a child. Y'all are sick. No, he didn't. Want to hear it again, J-Sex?
An age limit or would you?
No, I have no age. I mean, I have an age. I don't want to be
the
like
upper bracket, yeah.
Foley with 12-year-olds.
Can I make a prediction for you?
Yeah, he didn't say what you said, did he? Stop defending pedophiles, you sick fuck. He said 12. No, nobody says 12. Nobody says that. That's a slip. That's a look into his mind. He chose those words. No sane person would have said 12 right there. Not one of us. He did.
Yes.
I say you have one more match.
Mute J-Sex for the rest of it. J-Sex is done. You're a sick fuck, man. You're always covering for pedophiles. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. And when you come back when you're not going to defend pedophiles. But I'm done with you today. You don't get to change the words that Trump said there. You don't get to do that.
Virginia.
Yeah. If anybody said that, if he said that around me, I would knock him the fuck out. I've got a daughter. Some of you have daughters, some of you have nieces, nephews, whatever. 12 is the wrong fucking answer. 12 should be disqualifying. He said it. The amount of things that should have disqualified this man. But now, when we're looking at a man who's been accused of sexually abusing children, you can't connect that? We're supposed to ignore that? He said 12. You can't say 12. All right. Just a reminder. This was yesterday. This is Amanda Roberts. She is the sister-in-law of Virginia Giuffre. Here's what she said before the State of the Union. Just a reminder. Virginia Giuffre has been shown to be truthful. And there's some question whether or not she took her own life. She said she never would. She was scared. She was afraid enough for her own life that she put it on the record with people that, like, I would never take my own life. And then did. And there's a lot of people who are in those files who wound up taking their own life. And there's questions when it comes to the coroner and the police investigating it as to whether or not that was even possible. But remember, Donald Trump spent, I don't know, how long did he go last night? 17 hours? Not once did he mention the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. And MAGA comes here every day and they're like, oh, he's released it. He obviously doesn't want to talk about this. He'll throw a party for every bill he ever signs. Was there a party for signing the Epstein law? No, that was done quietly. Not once did he mention the victims of Jeffrey Epstein last night, and they deserve to be heard.
My name is Amanda Roberts, and I'm the sister-in-law of Virginia Roberts Chiffre. Today, the president will speak about his agenda. He may say it's time to move on from this Epstein thing. Mr. President, today we are saying we will not move on, and
Somebody mute James Broderick. Go fuck yourself. We're not moving off the Epstein thing. Get fucked. Stop defending pedophiles. Mute James Broderick.
world is not moving on.
And honestly, these victims, like, you're making it about Trump. I'm so fucking sick of you losers. You only don't want to talk about it because Trump's in them. This isn't about Trump. He's in them. He's got to face accountability too, but there's a lot of people who abuse people, and you don't want these victims to be heard or to have a voice or to get any sort of justice because it might implicate Donald Trump. You guys are fucking sick, man. Lives have been ruined. Lives have been lost. These people are here on behalf of a loved one who they lost because the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the United States federal government refused to do a fucking thing about Jeffrey Epstein. And you're like, but I don't like that it implicates Trump. Stop talking about it. No. Start talking about it, you bitches.
Clearly sees the pattern and how this
Mods, mute anybody saying to stop talking about it. That's fine. They can be muted the rest of the live. I'm not doing that shit.
administration has treated survivors with disgrace, contempt, and dismissal. My name is Amanda Roberts.
Not a peep. He spent like an hour last night going over victims of people who were harmed by individual undocumented immigrants who don't act as a whole. There was no like network that they were all part of where they were abusing Americans. These were the individual actions of undocumented immigrants. And he spent over an hour talking about those people. But you have a network of people who was abusing children that was where the federal government, the FBI, was running cover for them. Certainly Israel seems to be implicated. Russia seems to be implicated. There's all these protections, and Donald Trump didn't once mention them. You do not care about the victims of abuse, specifically if those victims of abuse are connected in any way to Donald Trump. And it's getting sick watching you guys do this every day. Here was the clip I talked about earlier of Thomas Massie. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to start dropping names.
Should be investigated. I'll name them right here. Leon Black. You don't even have to see past the redactions to see that this man needs to be investigated. Jess Staley, accused of terrible things. It's right there in the files. Why is he not being investigated? And Leslie Wexner. Why did the FBI list him as a co-conspirator in their own documents in a child sex trafficking case, and then tell him, according to him, that they had no questions for him? Why is that? We need justice. We want the Department of Justice to get to work, and that's what they need to do.
Those are two easy names. There's accusations. They're listed as co-conspirators. Neither one of those people is really very connected to Donald Trump. Why is Pam Bondi not opening an investigation? Why is the Trump administration doing nothing to investigate those people who were just investigated? They were listed as co-conspirators. Republicans refused to even meet with Les Wexner. Democrats had to do it on their own because they can't subpoena anybody, and the Republicans will not subpoena these people who are listed as co-conspirators. So Democrats have to go and meet with them on their own with no subpoena power. Why? Why not Les Wexner? Why not Leon Black? We can't even get we can't get a single fucking investigation? Did TikTok go down? Of course I did. Yeah, get fucked, TikTok. Oh, rich and powerful people bought TikTok, and then it goes down when we start talking about this shit. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? They promised that they would run cover for Donald Trump, and you know what? It's probably because I said Israel. That's probably what happened. They're in there. Yeah, just like the prime minister of Israel. It's like staying at Epstein's apartment all the time. And Israel had their own security system on it. But probably nothing there. What's up, Jen?
This is a new violation.
Which one's it? What's this?
This one's new. Violent and criminal behavior. And harassment and bullying.
Yeah, I hope they ban me. Fuck TikTok. I fucking hate that app. So stupid. All right. Well, we'll see you guys as you come over from TikTok. What do we got left? Jen, you want to make one last announcement? I need a drink anyways. We got about 30 minutes left. Or not. This man is a liberal atheist. Can't believe anything he said. Yeah, if he doesn't believe in Sky Daddy, you can't believe anything. He only believes things that he can prove. Yeah, that's a weird thing you guys do. The atheist thing is bizarre to me when we're talking about politics. It's like it's literally just an admission that you believe what you want to believe, and you don't require evidence. You should stop doing that. That doesn't play well. All right. This was from the Telegraph because in America we don't do real journalism, but they do real journalism over in the UK. Interesting here. Shit. I already did this. Hold on one second. Spin, don't lie. Don't lie and say dumb shit. Well, nobody can even see your comment anyways because you're on Kick by yourself. Sorry, they're making me jump through a bunch of hoops to get this. There we go. All right. Jesus Christ. Give me a break. Jeffrey Epstein hid computers and photographs from United States authorities in secret storage lockers across the country. I think this is another reason why perhaps they don't want to release the Epstein files, because we're going to find out that they didn't do real investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. Documents uncovered by this newspaper, which is the Telegraph, show that the pedophile paid private detectives to move equipment from his Florida home in an apartment, or in an apparent attempt to prevent investigators from finding it. The documents show that he rented 6 storage units across the United States and used them to house items from his properties, including computers from Little St. James, his private island in the Caribbean. He leased at least one unit from 2003 where he's part of a Florida social set that included Donald Trump. Credit card receipts obtained by the Telegraph show regular storage payments continued until 2019, the year of his death. Search warrants reviewed by the Telegraph suggest U.S. authorities never raided the lockers, raising the possibility that they may contain unseen evidence relating to Epstein and his associates, including Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson. That's Prince Andrew, and that is, what's Mandelson's name? Can't remember Mandelson's first name. In December, the Department of Justice released thousands of files relating to the financier. The revelations they contained led Lord Mandelson to resign from the Labour Party and quit the House of Lords. They've also led to the arrest of Prince Andrew on suspicion of misconduct in public office and the prospect of his removal from the line of succession. On Sunday, a cabinet minister suggested the former prince could face a judge-led inquiry. However, while Epstein has long been suspected of collecting compromising material on his associates, relatively few such photographs or videos have emerged. That's fueled claims that the DOJ is seeking to shield powerful figures from scrutiny, although authorities have repeatedly denied this. You can see here Epstein owned 5 sprawling properties across the U.S. and France at the time of his death. Photographs of the properties taken when U.S. authorities raided them after his arrest showed that many contain large storage areas and empty basements, so it's unclear why Epstein would need to rent external lockups. Earlier this month, the Telegraph revealed that Epstein ordered staff to install secret cameras inside Kleenex boxes at his home after a contact told him the Russians may come in handy. The FBI had previously said that there was no evidence Epstein was storing compromising material. Why didn't we raid his storage units? Why aren't we raiding him now? Now that we know this, why not? Why is Pam Bondi sitting on her hands? Why is Kash Patel out hanging out with the hockey team? Is anybody going to investigate this? Or are we just going to look like we're a country that covers for pedophiles? Nobody's answering me, so you all go to hell. Oh, and you had a bad day. Sorry, bud. I hope you find another place to give you some attention. All right. How about this? This is in the files here. This is Ryan Goodman with a discovery that he made.
I found something in the Epstein files that is mind-blowing, and I want to tell you about it. So sorting through all the files that have been released by the Justice Department, I came across something I was in some ways looking for, which is a directive from the FBI to New York law enforcement authorities to stand down their investigation into Epstein. The directive took place 5 days after Jeffrey Epstein's arrest. What's even more remarkable about this directive is that it also applied to...
Who was in charge of the DOJ then? 2019? Who was that? What president was in charge of the DOJ then? Who was the Attorney General? That Bill Barr?
to the Special Victims Unit, which is a part of the NYPD that is specially trained and equipped to investigate crimes against minors and crimes of sexual abuse. And therefore, the FBI was basically...
So the administration that's currently covering up stepped in and took the people responsible for investigating this crime and said, stand down. The specialists, stand down. And then where's that investigation? They allegedly took it over. Where's that investigation? Did they just drop it? Did they bury it? Why don't we have details on that investigation that they took over?
Closing off this avenue. I found something...
Where is it? Any ideas? Why do you think they did that, MAGA? This is what locker room talk turns into? Yeah. That's a good point, Golfing RN. A lot of people think that the DOJ is supposed to work for the president. Just know that you're wrong. Yeah, they're supposed to be independent. Donald Trump's the first one, and in his first administration, he requires loyalty pledges from whoever directs the FBI. It's why he got rid of Comey. Comey wouldn't do it. Comey's like, I'll be loyal to the Constitution, but I'm not going to be loyal to you. And so he got rid of him. No, Mike, you don't get to answer that question because you're incorrectly well, I'll just answer it. My question is, why did Obama appoint the judge? Why did the Obama appointed judge also block it? They didn't. So what you're talking about that was blocked was grand jury testimony. And there are specific rules when asking to release grand jury testimony. Grand jury testimony has like different rules, and some of it is not evidence, right? So in grand jury testimony, not everything that they say during that testimony is going to be admissible as evidence. And so if you're releasing grand jury testimony because you have like certain protections, there are only a certain, and I don't know if any of the attorneys that we normally have here are here today, but there's only I think it's like 2 or 3 exceptions for when a judge can actually release grand jury material. So the Department of Justice went to these judges to unseal the grand jury, and it was a stunt. If you go read the judge's order saying I can't unseal this, the judge says specifically that the conditions in which I'm allowed to unseal this grand jury testimony, and you have not provided me one of those conditions that will allow me to unseal this testimony. So you need to go back and rewrite your petition with something that legally I can consider, because there's no legal consideration I can give here because you have not matched with one of the conditions in which I'm allowed to release this grand jury testimony. But what Trump and the Republicans did is they came out and they're like, oh, look, it's actually Obama's fault. This is actually a cover-up by the judges. That's not what happened. You can go read the order yourself. But this was just another way. And they've done this all the time. You guys all do this. Why didn't Biden release it? Why didn't this judge release it? It doesn't matter. Trump wasn't going to release it either. He was forced. And he's the one that's covering it up. We can play hypotheticals all day long, but like, why not just deal with reality? He didn't want to release it. He's required to release it now. He's actively covering it up. They're deleting files with his name in it all the time. It's hidden. We know that there's files of accusations against Trump that we can't see. We know that they're there, and they're hiding them. It is an active cover-up. And you're just desperate to blame anybody but Trump. It's fine if you want to blame these other people. It's fine if you want to criticize Biden. Biden did have a window in which he could have released the Epstein files. But that was post like 2023. And he didn't do it. And you should criticize him for that. And we all should criticize him for that. And you can criticize Democrats for not pushing to release the Epstein files. All of that is fair. But that doesn't mean you get to, that doesn't mean that like you get to overlook the fact that they're covering it up now. Maybe they would have covered it up. Who knows? But they're covering it up now. And I can tell you unequivocally, if Joe Biden was covering it up, I would be holding this same live. Trump is the only president ever. You guys all act like this is how people treat politicians. No, nobody has ever treated a politician like we treat Donald Trump, where he lies to your face and you get mad at us for pointing out the lie. This feels like my real life. It's such a bizarre thing to be like, hey, this person's lying to you, and like, fuck you for telling me that. You're actually the piece of shit. It's like, oh, all right, sorry, I pointed out he was lying. It's my bad. I want to about 20 minutes. Today, in the UK, a man named David Stern has just resigned. I didn't know a lot about David Stern, but let me tell you what I found out from a short bit of research today. He is a German-French businessman, and he was an aide to Prince Andrew. Beyond the Epstein files, nobody really has ever heard of this guy. If you go and look at his history in business, he was kind of just like a solicitor for investors for this fund in the UK that he left, I think, in like 2008. But then UK investigators have researched, and this fund doesn't exist, and it never existed. And then if you go look at like his history, he says where he worked. He said that he worked at Deutsche Bank and then Siemens, and both of those companies confirmed that they never employed him. So he has this weird like no history. His entire history has been made up, and he worked somehow. He wound up being an aide to Prince Andrew. He wound up on the University of Cambridge Judge Business School Advisory Board. He was appointed in 2018, but he resigned from that board in, I think it was earlier this year. Just earlier this month. That's the only verifiable part of his employment. Everything else is entirely made up. Even if you go and you look at the board website, which has been deleted now, but if you go into the archives, he's the only person on the board where there's no picture or profile. It doesn't have like any profile of what he did, and there's no picture of him. It's very bizarre. He's been assumed to be living in the UAE as of now, and he's resigned from that position, that is only like legitimate position. But I wanted to show you this. This is from this is a right-wing source, so you guys will like this. Real AF Patriot. This is remember this lady's name, but kind of a right-winger here, conspiracy theorist a little bit. But I think your research is good here. I can't remember her name, sorry.
Very quiet, but very significant happened, almost unnoticed. According to media reports.
Thanks, Savage Train, for joining the Dollar Train. And Z-Teb says, remember when Sacha Baron Cohen recorded Giuliani trying to expose himself to someone he thought was underage when working for Trump? Yeah, and they didn't care about that either. And MC said, for Morse code, received Jen. Oh, Jen sending out Morse code. Got that. All right, we are close to our gift goal. I'll catch up on these when we're done. If you guys want to help us knock out that gift goal, that'd be great. I'll read all the messages at the end so we can get through this.
David Stern, the man behind the most Epstein emails, resigned from his post. This is the man that sat directly next to the Queen after announcing he was flying to China the next day and having brokered a deal with Epstein. And also a company that Rishi Sunak was a partner of was going to be the recipient of that deal. Now, his resignation matters because Stern is not a background name in the Epstein saga.
You always know if it's a right-wing content, if it's heavily filtered and they add in background music. I don't know what that is. It must work for the algorithm, But if there's background music and heavy filters, you're like, it's a right winger.
He sits at the centre of a network that connects British royalty, British politics, China, a sex offender that had already been arrested, don't forget, in 2008 for prostitution type charges. Now, I've uncovered a 13th of April 2011 email that was sent to Jeffrey Epstein, and the sender says, after meeting PA, which is shorthand used repeatedly across the Epstein files for Prince Andrew, and the email is precise, but the sender being redacted, it says, the sender met Prince Andrew and a response to Epstein's message had been noted, and in another bullet point goes on to talk about a deal for China. It's a very short email message, it's one of many, but it involves Chris Hone, who at the time ran the Children's Investment Fund. This is the company that Rishi Sunak was a partner of about the same time. I know it's complicated, but then came the line that stopped me cold. My letter of appointment is now with his mum's office for approval. That is not corporate, neither is it political. We are talking palace clearance. And the same email goes further. The email tells Epstein...
It's embarrassing how willing journalists outside of this country and politicians outside of this country are. It's embarrassing how much further they're willing to go and how they're actually getting arrests. Like this is bad. Like these guys are bad. Like this isn't a good guy, David Stern here. But we've got Les Wexner and Leon Black who are just as implicated, probably more implicated, and we're not doing anything about that.
But after dealing with his personal royal approval with a company whose name he can't reveal, he's jumping on a plane to go to China in very close timing to what we now know formed an important trade deal on behalf of the Children's Investment Partnership, of which Rishi was a partner, that was headed up by Chris Hone. Well, we're going to slow this down, don't worry, because it gets a little bit messier, even messier. So, the Children's Investment Fund effectively was cloned as a startup to create Thelem, which was another hedge fund manager.
That's true. They're not getting arrested on child abuse. That's true. But there's a bunch of people in America who worked with Jeffrey Epstein who we don't have records that abused children that also were breaking laws, and they're not being arrested.
Rishi at the time is based in the United States, and Thelem is known for taking a huge shareholding in Moderna, the vaccine manufacturer. There was a lot of bad press about that. So the person that we believe sent that message, and I say we, I mean other people that have been investigating it, okay, David Stern is the person behind this, who resigned 5 days ago, who sits next to the Queen, and was given some sort of royal approval, a royal appointment that we don't know exactly what it was, after meeting with Prince Andrew, after the conviction, and at the time that Prince Andrew has said he doesn't have anything to do with Epstein. But also, David Stern goes on to become Sarah Ferguson's financial advisor when it all goes horribly wrong and I've run out of money. This person, David Stern, is pretty embedded, I would say. He can meet with Prince Andrew at a jot. He is meanwhile in and out of Epstein's...
It's like it has these weird parallels to Epstein, excuse me, to Epstein, who kind of unremarkable, winds up, gets a job. He's unqualified for a job as a teacher, and then winds up this, celebrated financier who's able to get meetings with Putin and Ehud Barak and crown princes and former presidents and basically any politician they want, every billionaire in this country. It's very, very similar. Seemingly out of nowhere, with virtually no qualifications, they become integral.
Life. He sends Epstein birthday cards with champagne and underage girls on, reportedly. And then we have him sat in a photograph, publicly, all over the press, directly next to the Queen. This was actually for the Pitch and the Palace type events, which, as you'll know if you've seen the fascinating Scoop, I think it's a Netflix drama, tells you all about the background of Newsnight getting that interview with Prince Andrew, that I was just having a pizza with my daughter interview, and I don't sweat. So I think the significance of this is very important. David Stern has just resigned. But who, if anyone, is following up what we now know from one email that I discovered, which is short, but brings in the Children's Investment Fund, of which Rishi Sunak was a partner, The advisor that sent it, who then goes on to also advise Sarah Ferguson, who is given a royal appointment from Mum, the Queen, for some sort of role.
Not my king, yeah. But see how different it is over there? Like, Sunak's now going to be investigated, and he'll likely be arrested. Like, these people are going to be investigated. They'll be detained. They'll be arrested. And if there's charges, they'll bring charges. But at least they're doing something. Here, we won't even investigate. We won't even start the process here.
We don't know of, who the next day jumps on a plane to China to arbitrate a trade deal that is facilitated with Prince Andrew, who, as we know, then goes on to take probably a wholly different group of Chinese people into royal palaces before we find out that they are not who they say they are. So there you go. That's it for now.
All right. We'll follow up on that. But I just want to show you this corkboard infographic that shows like this connection here. And we'll end here, but maybe this will... Come on. What's going on here? I want that load. The fuck? This account has been banned? Hold on, let me see if I can find this. That would be crazy. See if I can open this in a different browser. This is weird. It'll show me like the preview of it. Well, son of a bitch. I don't know if Twitter's down or if this account is now suppressed. No, Twitter's working. All right. Well, I may have to show you that court. That was the grand finale. That's devastating. It was an early finish. That sucks. I have a really cool corkboard showing like the connection between Epstein and Prince Andrew, and I guess we can't do that now. That sucks. So I'll see if I can get that tomorrow, and yeah, we'll start there tomorrow. That is a really unsatisfying finale there. That sucks. All right, let me read some comments here, and then we'll get out. Jen says that my violation might have been valid, so I'll have to look. Alfredo said, "Fuck these PETA-loving maggots." Agreed. Anybody who defends this shit, go fuck yourself. Got that. And here. All right. Okay, I got you. I got you, Eric. I appreciate you saying that, man. And we've all been there. Pink said, "Why doesn't Trump eat M&Ms? They take too long to peel." Andrea said, "Sorry that I missed Antifa Tuesday dues yesterday. I've added a 10% late fee. Thanks for everything you all do. And as always, fuck Donald Trump." All right, guys, that's it. We did it. We didn't finish. I finished early, so that's my bad. I'll make it up to you. Round two, it's just you guys were so hot. I had to finish early. That's my fault. I'll do some mental Kegels, and tomorrow will be much, much better. But thank you guys for joining us today. I don't know how long. Jen, how long's our ban on TikTok? Are we cooked for a while? That seems like a good one.
I didn't look. See how long it was. It looks like 2:28 at 11:39. So
okay, so a few days. All right, so we're not going to be on TikTok tomorrow, so we'll see you here, either on Twitch or on YouTube, or I guess one person on Kick, which is probably Tex. Until then, you can catch us on any social media platform. We've got all of them. We have, of course, merch in our bio. We got the healthcare hoodie still for sale. You can join the Discord if you'd like for free, where every link that we show in on the live is made available to you via Discord, thanks to our wonderful mods. Cameo, if you want Cameo, I better check that today. My browser has, I don't know my login. It's saved in my browser. But now that I've got my email back, I can actually check that today. I think that's it. Mods, great job today. Jen, great job today. Chat, great job today. We will see you tomorrow morning, every weekday morning, 8:30 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching currently. Until we see you tomorrow morning, take care of yourselves, take care of your mental health. If you can get outside and touch grass, do so. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't smoke grass, good luck to you. I do not know how you're surviving, but Godspeed to all of you. Drink plenty of water, say something nice about yourself, stay cute and cool, and have a great, great summer.